Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Get to Play Mage the Ascension. I'm Jeremy Hochhalter, the storyteller for today. I will have everyone introduce themselves in a moment. Actually, we'll do that first, and then we'll talk about the world of darkness and mage. So let's start with on my screen. The first person is Eric, and tell us who
Yeah,
you're playing as well.
yeah. My general background is I played a bunch of D&D, got into Cypher System stuff. This will be my first time playing World of Darkness in general, the D10 based system. So I'm pretty excited to finally get a chance to try this out. I've been wanting to try something around it, whether it's Vampire or Exalted or something. So this is pretty exciting. I'm happy to
We'll
try
do
it.
those also at some point.
Yeah.
Awesome. And who are you playing today?
My character's name, we'll just call him Steve. I guess I'm probably going to butcher his actual name, Seong Min Park. He is a Void Engineers Border Corps Division Marine.
That's a
And I guess
lot.
he's yeah. He was injured during a mission, and then they brought him back. And when they fixed him up, they sort of started running a bunch of tests on him, and he sort of figured out he has some sort of capabilities to do things people can't explain. And it sounds like the military was trying to take advantage of some of that. But
What? I'm
yeah, right.
shocked.
Yeah, human weapons prize. So, but yeah, I specialize in a lot of like techie stuff. Energy weapons and technology as part of my understanding.
Nice. All right, that brings us to Brian.
Hello, everybody. I'm Bryan, and today I'm going to play Devin Johnson, who is a New World Order agent, tracking down those people who are trying to disrupt my reality.
My reality, not their
That's
reality.
right.
My reality.
And I like playing games, so I'm playing these one shots of games I will probably never ever get to play campaigns in. So
Right? Which is the whole point of this show.
exactly.
Awesome. How about John?
Hello, I am John. It's actually really cool to get back to the World of Darkness. I played a bunch of it when I was in college,
Nice.
but it's got to be about 12, 13 years since I've had a proper game in the World of Darkness, so I've forgotten a lot of the mechanics.
I know you and I have talked because you played a lot of Vampire and Werewolf, right?
A lot of Vampire Werewolf, yeah. So
Did you ever get to? Yeah, that was my question. Did you ever get to play Mage?
Mage, I've played a little bit of, but like little one-offs or campaigns that didn't really go very far. A lot of Changeling and
Oh yeah,
a lot of Vampire. Yeah,
that's one I don't
uh,
own, so we'll have to look into.
it's super fun.
Nice.
Yeah, big fan of Changeling. Um, I am playing Dr. Angela Barros, who is a genius doctor, uh, who through a lot of hard work and dedication has caught the eye of the progenitors. Is that what their names are? Yes, the progenitors, right?
That seems like a bad
Blah blah
thing.
blah. Yes, it was the progenitors, and I can't remember who they are, but they have been quietly, basically being patrons to Dr. Angela Barros in the background.
Nice.
And she has now just recently manifested her genius and has accepted a job with the progenitors.
Gotcha. So the
Didn't say
progenitors must
what it
be
was.
those who run the technocracy. The
Probably
jump the jumpstart doesn't really go into that, so that's going to be my assumption for this game. Is that fair?
doesn't even say what her job is. She's just they've offered her a new home, and so she has gone to
We will get into
practice her
that part.
wild doctor magic with the progenitors. She's
Nice.
probably a ship's doctor or something, captain's doctor,
Excellent.
medical service personnel.
And last but not least, Ryan.
Hi, yeah, I'm Ryan. I've I'm a nerd. I love playing games. I
Yeah,
love
you
playing
are.
all kinds of games. Um, I very much like World of Darkness, but haven't had the opportunity to play in it as much as I'd like, so I'm pretty excited for the game. Um, and I've never like legitimately played Mage. I've fantasized about playing Mage, but um, as far as my character, I'm playing a character named Dragoslav Novak. He'll probably go by Drake, considering we're in the United States. Um,
That's fair.
he's Bosnian, and kind of had a rough and up and coming, a rough upbringing. He was orphaned early, um, and kind of got into the life of crime. Managed to kind of work his way up through kind of the Bosnian mafia, um, seemingly always kind of leveraging good luck. And then eventually his luck ran out. He got pegged by the wrong people, and was really given two options: either join the syndicate or go to jail forever. And he opted to join this syndicate. He had a couple successful operations already, but almost too successful. He was able to uncover several corrupt civil services, and he had to break his cover because he was discovered, like he was doing stuff so well. He's been kind of moved around London, New York. Definitely more of a city guy, but yeah, he's here.
Nice. So, let's talk about Mage the Ascension. We are playing the 20th Anniversary Edition, which would technically, I guess, be the third edition. It's like an updated first edition, I feel like. Somebody can tell me I'm wrong. I feel like Bryan knows more about this than I do. So there was Mage the Ascension, and then I feel like there was Mage the Ascension 2nd Edition. And then they came out with this this M20 version a few years back. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and I think it came out after the new World of Darkness, so it kind of merges, from what I understand, Mage the Ascension and updates it to basically like new World of Darkness kind of rules.
Gotcha. And I will say don't confuse this with Mage the Awakening, which is also published by White Wolf, or was published by White Wolf, but completely revamps the story as far as where magic comes from, the history of magic, and the mage clans. So yeah, there was. If you ever get into the World of Darkness, throughout the history of the publication, there's a lot of, for me, confusion on what falls where. But there's a great wiki that's like, this is what you need to pay attention to. So that's awesome. We are also playing the Jumpstart specifically for the Technocracy Reloaded book that came out. It was kickstarted a few years ago by Onyx Path Publishing. So I'm gonna drop a link for the Jumpstart itself. Head over and pick that up if you are interested in checking out the essentially the rules light version and getting the pre-gens that we're playing today and the adventure that we'll be playing today. So speaking of that adventure, why don't we jump on in? So you all are coming from potentially different locations. That's up to you, but you met up in Chicago and you were being sent to Rockford. You're essentially what is known as an amalgam, which is kind of like for vampire, they're coteries. You are a group of mages. So what do you call a flock of geese as opposed to, so you are a flock of mages called an amalgam, and you're heading to the Construct, which is kind of like the larger organization that takes care of magic in a certain area. And Rockford is really a contested area between the mysticism side and the technocracy. So for you, magic is just science we don't have words for yet. We don't have like ways to necessarily explain, but you don't view magic as hippy dippy chakras and stuff like that. You're like, no, this is science that we just haven't like put labels on yet. And so it's, you know, as agents of this technocracy, you're often sent out into the field to cover up events that threaten the paradox, threaten the fabric of reality. Because if people were to learn that magic is real, that there are monsters, that this stuff is true, all of these, you know, urban legends are potentially real, it could drive them insane, or it can cause paradox, which is a terrible ripping of the fabric of reality that can bring in horrible monsters, or can suck you into horrible other dimensions, flip you inside out, really terrible things. Does that all sound legit? I feel like that sounds legit. Awesome. So you've been sent to the Rockford construct, and you know that there is a new leader there. His name is, I believe, Dr. Kavanaugh. Let me double check that. He has a first name. There's also a lot of there are a lot of words in the Jumpstart that they don't explain. So like merds, C-merds, remerds, J-mards, all these things, I have no idea what they are, but it sounds like they are like events that they have code words for. So the guy in charge is, I just had it, Senior Operative Kavanaugh Albright. And you've been sent to meet up with him to find out essentially what your new job is here in Rockford, at least while you're stationed here. Does anyone have anything that they want to do before they head to check in with the senior operative?
Let's see here. Rockford sounds familiar. Hold on.
Grumble, grumble, Rockford, damn fibs, grumble, grumble.
You know, the other thing about, just to absolutely derail us already, the other thing about World of Darkness that I've always enjoyed is that it's set in the real world, so you can play in your hometown, you can get a map of Rockford and pull it up and be like, I'm going to this 7-Eleven, and then the storyteller can be like, yeah, so the Toys R Us right down the street from that 7-Eleven burst into flames. It just introduces a level of reality that I find enjoyable. So John, you were looking. Did you find anything you wanted to do?
I did my pre-med in Rockford.
Oh, no kidding.
I know, weird. I was like, I recognize the name of that town. I was there. I did my my secondary school and my pre-med there.
You were pre-med? Man.
Yeah, I did my pre-med at Rockford University, according to my background here. It doesn't say where I did my actual PhD,
Here.
or doctorate, or MD, or
Right,
whatever.
right.
I'm just filing that for the back of my mind, since I know Rockford, I know the town. Is there a good place for a cup of coffee in Rockford? There probably is.
I'm assuming there is. I'm assuming it is not the workers' room in the symposium, you know, like where you're going to work. I'm assuming, although you're a bunch of mages, you might be able to make the best coffee ever there. Who knows?
I'm not here to show off.
You have the technology.
But I think we should stop by for coffee and get a coffee for this Dr. Kavanaugh.
Nice.
Just a friendly gesture as we present ourselves.
Sure. Let's go get some coffee. I mean, being in the Marines, I just drank whatever crap coffee they gave me. But I can always make it taste a little better, right?
Oh, you'll love this place. It's a small cozy nook in an otherwise busy town. They got the best pastries too.
Like you take out your cell phone, which is like a specially enhanced cell phone that the Technocracy provides you, and so it does, like, it has some extra magical tech built into it, and so since no one's looking, you're all driving down together in this van that's going to drop you off. You kind of like bring up this hologram, and you're scrolling through like Yelp, and you find the Velvet Robot Coffee Lab, and just the sound of it sounds like you should definitely like it might be owned by the Technocracy. Who knows? And so you head over there, and they have great breakfast and lunch food as well, according to Yelp.
Oh yeah, so good. Yeah, go get some coffee.
Awesome. What are you gonna get for the senior operative?
It's always best to go with your classic, cappuccino, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I doubt he's not somebody who would be offended by things added to the coffee. It's probably not a drink coffee black sort. I mean, he is Technocratic Union, right? So maybe he is.
It's true.
Coffee black. Black coffee.
Okay, black coffee.
Yep.
Does anyone need anything else? Any special orders at the Velvet Robot Coffee Lab?
I'll just get some regular black coffee. That's good. And then I'm assuming like most coffee shops still have like a little shelf where you can buy flavorings or whatever. And I don't want people to know, but I like flavored coffee now, And so I'll like pick up a bottle of something that looks kind of tasty, and then see if I can maybe like use my magic-y stuff to flavor my coffee without actually flavoring my coffee.
Oh yeah, nice. Let's call that. What are your spheres?
My spheres are dimensional science, forces, mind, and primal utility.
I like dimensional. Like you're essentially transferring. You're using your magic to transfer flavor from the bottle. You're just like osmosis almost.
Little mini portal inside and
Right.
outside.
So go ahead and we'll just. How many dots do you have in that?
I've got 1 in dimensional science.
Go ahead and roll that with a. Do you have a manipulation?
I've got 2 in manipulation.
So roll 3d10, and let's call your successes a 5 on this one, since you're.
Okay.
It's pretty easy what you're trying to do.
Hopefully I don't rip the fabric of time trying to flavor my coffee.
I mean, why not?
I rolled 2 5s.
2 5s, nice. Yeah, you feel like you kind of like raise the cup of coffee to your nose and you sniff it, and there's definitely a scent of what flavor was it?
I'm going with a caramel.
Nice, yeah. There's definitely a caramel aroma coming off of it, and it's better than like. It smells better to you than when you buy a bag of coffee that's been flavored as caramel. There's none of that like chemical smell. They didn't put like additives and stuff and like caramel flavoring. You're just like, this is probably the way to go from now on.
Nice.
All right. Anybody else?
I spend the time while they're fucking around with their coffee, just chatting up the barista, seeing how they're, how the day has been, and just generally kind of being a friend, kind of the over talkers, where like I'm sure they're like, what does this guy want? Before just eventually just getting a plain black coffee and heading towards the exit.
You notice a little like name badge with handwritten on it. It says Tim. He's a early 20-something, probably college student, has curly red hair, just getting over some like probably teenage acne stuff. He's pretty like legit with his coffee slinging skills though, and he feels pretty comfortable behind the counter. But yeah, you're kind of like hanging out and chatting. After a while, he does just kind of feel a little uncomfortable. Like you can see he's just like, okay, what can I get you, sir? And then you order a black coffee, and he's like, all right, here's your cup. The can't think of what they're called. Like you go over and you push the top down and it comes out like the dispenser.
Right.
The
Yeah, the
dispenser's
carafe.
over there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. I'll take care of my coffee and just wait around.
Devin, are you getting anything there?
No, I came with what I had.
Fair enough. All right, so everyone goes back and gets in the van and heads off to the construct. And you're led inside, and it seems a lot like an office building at first, but as you're led deeper inside, you start noticing after like some security checks and such, there are like labs, and you can see people inside. A lot of it looks like a scientific lab. There are like little, a lot of them are filled with beakers and all of the vials and stuff that people do for chemistry. Some other ones have weird machinery in them that might be like centrifuges and all of those types of things. Some like robots. But like as you get further in, you do notice like obvious signs of magic being worked with those things, and because they're not in the public view, they're not really breaking the paradox. They're not really calling attention to themselves. I mean, it's still not great to rip reality, except for to flavor your coffee. And you're finally led to what looks like a small conference room. And there's a little table set out, a little bit larger than what would be needed for just you. It's probably for like 6 people, and the 4 of you go in, and there is a kind of middle-aged man with some gray hair that's combed back. He's wearing a very finely cut suit, and he's facing a wall that is obviously imbued with magic tech, and he's like moving pictures around. Looks like a hologram would look. He's moving some pictures around and reading some documents. And the woman who guided you there tells you to have a seat and asks if you need any refreshments.
I'll just kind of lift my coffee cup and sit down. Good, thank you.
Everybody else sit down.
Yep.
So as everybody sits down, he like spreads his arms and like his hands, and he kind of like motions in and brings everything that's on the wall together, and it disappears in a point of light. And he turns to face you. He kind of eyes everybody. Everyone who has 2 dots or more in perception. Who is that?
Eve.
Okay. Devin and
Devin.
Steve.
Where the hell?
I do.
It's at the
It's
top
under
right.
attributes. Top
Oh, it's an
mental,
attribute.
Yeah, top mental attribute.
I've got 3.
All right, so everyone go ahead and roll a perception awareness. You're going for 6 or above.
Okay.
3 successes.
Nice.
Perception awareness. Huh?
Perception awareness.
I have a 10, an 8, and a 5.
So two successes. Awesome.
Okay.
0 successes.
0 successes. Okay.
Ooh, what happens on a 1?
I mean, in a certain event, you would have a botch. In this one, you are so enamored by the like weird color of the receptionist's eyes that you run into your chair and spill part of your coffee.
Well, I rolled 5 dice. I got a 10, a 10, 2 1s, and a 7.
Okay, your 2 10s are gonna you run into the chair, but then as you do that, you like reach up your hand and just like catch the top of your coffee before it sloughs off, and you set it down. And as you're doing that, everyone except for Drake notices the things that he's closing. There's like some pictures of what appears to be a mauled person. Like this person has been like torn apart by some kind of animal. There's some headlines that are talking about a bear attack. you catch a couple of names. One is dooba 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 doo. Kristen, there it is, Kristen Davis. And Bryan, Devin notices some extra stuff about how like bears in the area are very rare, let alone bear attacks. So it's quite odd. So you get a feeling as you're sitting down already what you're here for. You've been sent on kind of recon missions or like find out what happened as far as strange events. This one seems a little more natural than what you've been sent on before because it's a bear, but because of Bryan, automatically you just kind of like feel like there's something weird about this, and that's why they're probably going to send you out on this. So as you sit, the man turns around. He introduces himself as Senior Operative Kavanaugh Albright, and says that he's glad that you've joined the construct here. John, is there anything that you want to do with that coffee?
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna offer him the coffee with a hand extended. Dr. Barros, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm looking forward to learning more about your work.
He shakes your hand firmly, but not roughly. It seems very measured, and he takes the coffee and nods his head and says, "Thank you. Please sit down. I'd like to get started."
I'll have a sip my coffee.
Okay. So there's a woman recovering in the hospital from what appears to be a bear attack. It's not the first one that's happened recently, but in this area, bears are really unheard of, let alone known to attack people. Kristen Davis is one of many people that have been camping at the cabins in Rock Cut State Park, located just north of Rockford. She was attacked about 11:30 a.m. Saturday, August 2nd. What appears to be a brown bear attack left the woman injured and has wildlife officials wondering just where the animal came from and where it went. There are no signs of there's no signs of it since the attack. Trails, spoor, anything like that. Due to the slightly odd nature of this, we're sending you out on this NPO, which you know means nominally probable operation. I don't want to say it's a slap in the face to be sent on an NPO, because like you all have at least a little bit of experience, but you've definitely been sent on NPOs before, and being new to this construct, you're not surprised, even if you were expecting something a little grander or meaningful. So on August 4th, 2 days after the attack, wildlife officials ended their search for the bear or bears responsible for the attacks. The encounter took place in the Algonquin, there we go, campsite in Rock Cut State Park. Helicopter passes and ground searches did not turn up any bears in that area of the attack. The park itself has been closed due to the attack on the young woman. And since the attack site has not been surveyed by any of our specialists, a IGO or information gathering operation is mandated. An APR list. Sorry, there's just so many acronyms. Is that the right word? An APR list. Wait, this doesn't make sense. He wants you to go and find out if there's any evidence. I'm trying to throw out all this jargon with the way it's written, but my mouth doesn't want to read this sentence. I apologize. There's MERDs and TBEs and RDs, and this is what I get for trying to run Mage.
Have they sent a medical unit or to the victim to establish that it truly was a bear?
They have not. They know that the woman is in the hospital. If you would like to go and check her out, like figure out what may have actually attacked her, if it wasn't a bear, that is completely within your purview as far as suspicion goes.
And
How many days ago was this?
Oh, sorry. Let's see what Ryan. Okay, so let's see with John. With John, what were you finishing up?
Is she the only victim?
I believe, as a storyteller, there was another person, but that person I believe is dead. And gone.
Like already disposed of, dead?
Yes, we're gonna go with that.
All right. So no visit to the coroner then.
I should throw out there, I know the author of this one, and Travis, if I'm butchering your adventure, I apologize.
I had asked how long ago this was. I might have missed that.
So the
Like
attack
it was on the
second.
2nd of August. What is today?
That's let me check real quick. So I know it's at least past the 4th because the search ended on the 4th. Let's call today the 6th.
Okay.
As I don't believe there actually is a date placed in here. Okay. Any other questions for the senior operative?
When you said dead and gone, does that mean dead and buried or presumed dead, not found?
Oh, let's say that victim's body was cremated with the wishes of their family.
Okay.
I definitely think it would be worth interviewing the victim of the attack, assuming that she is awake and coherent. If it was serious, she might have had surgery and could be hard to understand, but that would be probably a great place to start to understand what actually happened.
Were there any other
We'll have
witnesses?
charges.
There was a witness. The woman's friend is the one who called emergency services. And John, what was your question?
Also, we at least will have her chart. So we'll have at
Correct.
least some level of information on that regard.
And her friend found her, or her friend actually saw the attack happen?
As far as the senior operative understands, he says, I believe she was a witness to the attack, and that's how they know it was like a brown bear. She saw it. From what I've gathered so far, the actual victim is less clear on the events, perhaps due to trauma, or she just simply didn't see what attacked her.
So my character will kind of like chuckle under his breath and say, so the adage of you don't have to be faster than the bear, you just have to be faster than your friends really is true.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
But the senior operative kind of like looks at you, and he gives you one of those smiles that doesn't reach his eyes. And then he says, if there's nothing else, I need to get back to work.
We'll let ourselves out. Thanks.
What type of when the helicopters passed over and they were looking for, I'm assuming they were looking for this bear. Do we know what they did to search for them? Was it just visual, or did they do like infrared scanning or anything more techy?
As far as I know, the local authorities don't have access to that kind of technology. I believe they just did an overhead search visually.
Right. Lack of government funding. So perhaps we could do that. I'm sure we might be able to request the needed equipment to do a more thorough scan of the area.
If you could get access to a helicopter, we don't have one here at the construct, but if you could get access to a helicopter, we could probably provide you with that kind of equipment. Which, of course, we won't give the local authorities because, government funding.
They can have helicopters, but not scanning stuff.
Right.
We can have scanning stuff, but not
That's
helicopters.
what your eyes are for.
So I'll just fly around on my broom and hold the scanner pointing down.
Anything else?
I'm throughout the conversation, I'm just gonna this just doesn't feel like a good reason to have a team of 4 mages come investigate anything. Like it just I'm really trying to get a sense. I missed the pictures and the stuff walking in, but I'm just trying to get a sense of why are we here?
Do you ask him, or are you just kind of listening?
I'm trying to get yeah. I'm not going to ask. I'm going to use some psychodynamics to kind of just try and get a feeling of what is his motivation? What's is he hiding something, and kind of get a read on his emotional state, maybe.
Sure. So, is that one of your other traits?
Yeah, that's one of
Psychodynamics.
mine.
So let's
Yeah, that's mine.
Let's do awareness, psychodynamics, and perception.
Okay, let's do. One success, because one was a failure, and there are 2 successes, so one
Right.
success.
Okay, so with the knowledge of why you've been transferred here, as well as his kind of standing in the company, he is new here. The previous senior operative actually died. It doesn't say how, it just says that he recently passed away, and so this guy has been also transferred here recently, and you know that he is essentially your orders were to report here because of a lack of enough operatives, and you get the feeling, especially kind of how he's not brushing you off. He wants to make sure you definitely get the feeling that he is trying to make sure you are informed, so that you can do your job. But he has a lot on his plate.
Okay.
You did notice on the way in that there was a lot of hustle and bustle, and that very few of the operatives' areas had people in them. So either they're on mission or those areas are vacant currently. So you were probably going out to do this because you're the only people, and he doesn't know you, and you're the new people. You're the FNGs, so you're getting NPO duty.
So I guess I'm also curious about this, and it does seem kind of odd. And I'll notice my party members sort of a little confused about what we're doing here. And I'll just straight up ask him, what is the point of our mission here? Why are we investigating a bear attack? I mean, isn't that something for the park rangers?
You're being sent out because we want to make sure that there isn't some kind of anomaly happening. The lack of evidence of the bear, yet having a bear attack on at least 2 people, We just need to make sure that there's nothing going on. So if at the end of the day there's nothing, then you can come back and get another mission.
Uh-huh.
I do have more on my plate to hand out later on.
Uh-huh. But a bear attack, the lack of finding some footprints for a bear attack seems odd. There must be more to this.
Exactly my point.
What kind of evidence did we end up getting? Did somebody say something? They saw something weird? Or is it literally just the lack of, we didn't find any footprints?
I mean, you obviously already believe that this is a weird event.
I believe
I'm
it's
sure you've seen
weird we're being
occurrences
asked to
during
do
your-
this.
No, you're being
Like-
told to do this.
Yay. I feel like I'm overqualified for finding a bear.
That may be the case, but you are the FNGs here.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I get to use an acronym that isn't in the book.
One man's bear is another man's werewolf.
True. I'm gonna start heading towards the door and start writing a post on "Am I the asshole?" about this general experience.
As everyone heads out, he turns back to the wall and raises his hands. The illusionary board reappears. He takes the files that are obviously pertaining to your case, squishes them into a file folder, throws them over into a in progress column that's on the wall, reaches over, awaiting, and pulls out like another thing, opens it up. And the receptionist that led you in is waiting for you in the hall. Anything
Thank
that
the
you want to do?
receptionist and thank the receptionist and head out to the hospital. Should we
Is
go
that what
there
you'd like to
first, or should we go to the scene of the crime?
I kind of want to talk to the witness. If there is something weird going on, I'm concerned about the witness continuing to be a living witness. I don't want.
Is that your job? Are you the fixer, the cleaner, the person that's
No, but
like
I
witnesses?
I've been enough. I've been around enough shady shit to know that happens, and
Okay.
yeah. So that's my plan. But I'm happy to. We can divide and conquer. We can split the party.
We could do
You
that.
can.
You know, two people go interview the witness, two people go to the hospital and interview the victim. I think that might work.
Do any of you have any contacts in the law enforcement division that did the investigation, the initial investigation on this incident?
I was in the military, but it was the Korean military. So I don't know that I necessarily have any real contacts in local law enforcement, but maybe I could pull some strings and find a name if we needed it. I don't know.
It would be helpful to have their records on this so that we can take a broader look at the kind of the meta picture.
So
Probably
real
would
quick,
also,
you actually saw those records on the wall.
but he didn't bother to give them to us.
You could check your handy dandy super cell phone.
Super cell phone.
You find that there is a file that has been sent to it that is essentially the collection of all of those things that was on the wall.
So there's like a coroner's report from the deceased victim,
Right.
and police reports from the initial
Yeah.
kind of paper trail.
Most of those are witness reports from Jaina, who is the woman who saw it. You see that she has some kind of direct connection to this Kristen. They call her partner in the report. there are witnesses from the rangers that didn't see the bear, but that were following the bear tracks, and how it even the rangers thought it was odd that the bear tracks, they could track them back to where it started and where it ended, but nothing before or after.
Well, we must obviously have a flying and/or teleporting bear.
Flying bears with butterfly wings. Tune in on Wednesdays.
That's right. Just the other day, I killed a person in a park. Let's see here.
Yeah, I have a little bit of medical experience. I'd be happy to go and interview the victim.
Okay.
I'll go with you.
Okay.
We can confer notes.
So Stephen and Dr. Barros are heading to the hospital. That is Rockford Area Hospital. Devin and Dragoslav, what are you doing?
Do we have an address for this, Jaina?
There is an address in the report, yep.
Okay. What part of town is that in?
And apparently she's kind of like Cher. She only has a first name.
Well,
Cool.
let's go find out the last name.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll grab an Uber.
Okay. You good with that, Devin?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Let's go find her.
Let's start with you two. So you grab your Uber. This guy shows up in an Escalade. His name is Jim.
Jim?
Where are you going? Never mind. The app tells me that, right?
I'm not going to say a thing to him because that's how I ride in Ubers.
I just
Okay.
put my shades on, stare straight ahead.
Yeah, he's like, hey, what kind of music do you listen to?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he just turns the radio off and drives. He drives you down. Takes about 15 minutes to get there. And it's this little neighborhood. Cute little houses. Fairly well kept. And there's a little blue and white house that he drops you off at.
Oh,
Do you want him to wait, or are you...
No, I'll just order another one.
All right. Then he says thanks for your service and drives away.
Okay. I'll just walk up to the front door and knock.
As you knock, there is no answer.
wow.
Mm. What kind? Is it like a? Is there a window in the front door? Is it or windows near the front door?
Yeah, they have like some white curtains over them, but they're kind of that like lacy, so you can kind of see through them.
How big is the house?
Looks like it's probably a 2-bedroom or maybe like a 1-bedroom in a large living area. It's not a very large house.
So is it like a ranch house, like 1 story?
Yeah, it's like those really skinny, goes back.
Okay.
I feel like ranch houses are like the wider ones that go, but it's a sideways ranch house.
Okay. And it's what time of day is it now?
We're going on midday right about now.
And what
You
day
got
of the
in
week?
pretty early. Oh, that's a good question. What was August 7th this year? Or do we say the 6th? It's Friday.
Okay. I'll look to Devin and say, I mean, she could be at work, I guess. Do we want to look around here before we try and track her down elsewhere?
Does it look like around the door or on the porch or on the doorbell there's any sort of like camera technology?
Let's say they have a ring.
Okay.
We can't call it a ring. Let's call it a ding.
I
They have a
wanna
ding.
I wanna touch the ring And
The show is not sponsored by Ring.
right. And I want to use my data sphere to see if I can trace a connection back to this person's cell phone.
Nice. So that. Let's see. So data. Do you have any backgrounds for that?
I don't know what backgrounds mean, so I'm gonna say no.
What are your backgrounds?
Contacts, certification, genius, resources, and what. It's like they made this sheet for me. Yeah.
This character is you, Bryan.
And then my other traits are energy weapons, intuition, misdirection, and scan.
Gotcha.
I
Did you say
should- I
scan?
should've- Scan, yeah.
So why don't we do scan, data, and
Perception.
computer? Or
Don't you need an attribute in there?
we could do. Do you want to do intelligence? Let's do
Oh, yeah,
intelligence.
Intelligence, yeah, that's fine. So you want me to do intelligence, data,
And scan.
and scan. Okay. Let me get my handy dandy roller up here.
Not sponsored by Handy Dandy Roller.
I have lost my tab. Here we go.
Copy empty.
So that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 dice. And I'm rolling it on roll 20, so I'm probably going to get 7 ones. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I got 3 8s, a 6, and 1 1, and 2 4s.
Okay. So Drake, while you're kind of looking around, you can glance over and Devin has taken out his, what'd you call it? It's like your
What?
PDA or whatever. Your super phone.
Yeah, I
Pulled out
just
your
touched
super
it.
phone.
I put it up to the ring.
Right, and you notice like little, almost like Matrix style lines connecting the two as they like interface. And
I call it "Take Me to Your Master."
are you just trying to track the phone?
Yeah, just see, is it making a connection back to her, to the phone, and then if it is, that'll tell me. By using data 1, I can tell exactly how far they are from me, and then maybe even like have to do another roll to maybe look through that phone to make sure it's our target.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was wondering if you could turn on the camera.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So let's do another roll to turn on the camera since you did have that botch that took away one of your successes.
Same roll or something. What do you want me to roll?
Just do a data.
So roll my data dice. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Intelligence and data, or just data?
We're just adding a data roll,
Okay.
which I don't know is actually a thing, but that's what we're doing. Damn it.
I got a 9 and a 2.
Nice. So yeah, like you get the connection. Like the person's actually actively using their phone from the information that you're gathering. So you turn on the camera. There's a young woman, dark hair, dark skin, that's looking at the Ding app right now. So essentially, she's staring at you through the Ding camera as you're staring at her through the phone connection. And through the Ding, you also notice that she's in a what looks like a hospital room. You can see like a hospital bed behind her. There's a woman laying in it. It just obviously is, hospital rooms have that, like, or she's in some kind of weird lab.
Right.
But your gut reaction is that she's in a hospital, and with that pinging of where she might be, it's likely she is actually at the hospital. And through the Ding speaker, you hear, "Hello, what can I do for you?"
How's it going? I'm Agent Devin, and I'm here to discuss something with you about what you saw.
Well, I'm not available right now. Could you come back another time?
Certainly.
When would work?
Who's that?
I'm Agent Drake.
Do you like peek?
Drake. I dropped several awesome albums.
I'm not Age Drake. I'm just Drake. Uh, so are you stepping in front of the camera so she can see you?
Yeah, I'll slide in.
Sure. What was your question? I'm sorry.
When would be a good time to? When would you be available to chat?
I mean, I'm kind of busy right now, but I'll probably be available. Maybe this evening, after dinner time, like say 7. And you actually notice like the door opens on the other side of the room, and Dr. Barros and Steven walk into the room behind her, and she turns and looks at them.
I'll say, yeah, 7 works great. Here's my phone number. I'm gonna leave a card with my number here. If
That'd be
if
great.
you-
Thank you.
If you can call ahead of time, that would be. Or if you have some time, even where you could just talk over the phone, that would be just fine.
Okay, that's great. There's some other people here. I've got to go. Thank you. And like, Bryan, you notice, or sorry, Devin, you notice like she swipes away and the app closes. You're still connected to her phone, but she's no longer viewing through the app.
Okay, I want to pull her phone number. I want to pull her contacts and pictures and everything to my phone.
Sure. You actually notice. Go ahead.
I'll order an Uber, and while we're waiting, I'll text.
Should we have told her not to trust those people that came into the room?
That would be saying that you knew those people came into the room. Oh, she did say there were other people there, which is like the one time you actually caught her saying something that didn't make it sound like she was at home.
Right.
You notice everything else she said was like aimed at making it sound like she was inside the house, but you would know that there aren't other people there because you're there. Pardon me.
Well, damn. I was hoping to use my mind magic to put her at ease and then
Yeah.
get some real details.
You still have time. Are you going to stay connected so you can see what's going on there? While
Yeah, might as
others-
well, and listen in on what they're saying.
Okay.
You tell me that they're like, I don't know.
I mean, if you were standing
on
there, you would have
speaker.
seen the screen, so you would have seen them come in.
Okay, I'll text them and let them know. Like, the woman that's there is Jaina. We just bad luck. We'll be there soon.
Okay. So you call it Uber, and you guys are watching this conversation and listening in. Meanwhile, Dr. Barros and Steven, you head to the hospital, and you find out what room she's in and head up there. As you enter, there's a woman talking on the phone, and there's another woman who's sleeping on the bed. There's a lot of like flowers around everywhere, and it looks like there's a like an overnight bag, essentially like maybe the woman who's on the phone had slept here last night. That's kind of what your first impressions as you walk in. What do you do?
Extend my hand and approach Dr. Barros. You may call me Angela. I'm a specialist. I understand that that there was a unfortunate attack.
Oh, hello. I'm Jaina, and she shakes your hand. Are you here to help her with the wounds? What happened?
Well, that's what we're here to assess. Yes, I mean she's in good hands with the medical staff here at Rockville, yeah, Rockville Hospital, Rockford. The staff here at Rockford is, I'm certain.
You did pre-med here. You should know.
I did. Yes, there's a lot of information I'm reading through here.
I know, right?
It's a lot of stuff.
But she says, well, if you don't need to wake her, she didn't sleep very well. If we could talk in the hall.
No, of course. I agree she needs to get her rest. And I can get much of the information I need from her charts on where she's at right now. But yeah, if you don't mind having a conversation with us out in the hall, would you like a coffee? Do you need a coffee? Have you eaten?
You know, a coffee would be great, actually.
We'll go downstairs to the just you and me. We'll go down to the canteen and have a chat and kind of can I get her away so that Steve can pop in and do some work. That's what I'm gonna get.
She's like, yeah, hang on just 1 second. She goes over and she like takes a little scrap of paper, like, you know, they have those like notepads next to the phones. She writes a note and like slips it under a cell phone that's plugged in, and then like looks at Steven, but then follows you out.
You must be exhausted. I can only
I
imagine.
didn't sleep very well.
Yes, I can only imagine the chairs are very uncomfortable to sleep in. But you're definitely here to provide support. Support is part of the healing process. Come on, let's go get a coffee. I'll take her out.
Okay. So she follows you out and down to the cafeteria. While you're walking, Steve, what are you doing?
So I guess they're heading down for some coffee, and while they do that, I will sort of take a peek at her charts and see if they tell me anything interesting about her condition or how maybe she came in, any of her wounds or any of that sort of information on that.
So this is a Jeremy ignorance question because I haven't been in the hospital for, you know, a long time. Do they even have charts anymore, or is everything computerized?
That's true. Most of it's probably computerized at this point. Although
I do know when I go to the doctor, they have like a tablet that they have all the stuff on. So I'm just like, is this all like on a tablet, or would they have an actual physical sheet still? Let's go with the easiest of the two. Yes, there are papers there.
It's the 1980s.
I would imagine with serious cases, they might still have paper charts to make them fast to grab.
That makes sense. I like it.
Maybe.
So yeah, you look at her chart. It essentially, in medical jargon, states that she is, you know, suffering from wounds probably caused by an animal attack. It doesn't really go into detail as far as the animal that attacked her or anything like that. There's a lot of kind of open-ended phrasing as far as the cause of the wounds. There was like some infection that they were concerned about. They believe that she will, like, everything's looking good right now. The prognosis is good, since she was essentially cared for quickly.
If I'm assuming everything's bandaged, and I don't want to take anything apart. So
Yeah.
what I'm thinking is perhaps if I, just maybe put my hand on her, I might be able to draw out some of like the last things that she saw during that attack and see or get a picture of what happened in my mind.
So do you have mind as a sphere?
I do.
So roll that with some either manipulation or perception. Your choice.
Well, perception is better for me, so I'm obviously going to take that. So mind and perception. Okay, so that's 5 of those. So my best one's 2 7s and a 6.
Nice. So yeah, like these hazy memories come out, and like you feel like they're a little foggy, probably because of maybe the painkillers that she's on or something. Like there's a definite, it's almost like lag, but this like vision appears in your mind, and you're kind of like replaying it. As you're scrolling through and you're kind of searching for, like, you're going back through her timeline, and like there's moments of her waking up in the hospital bed and looking at Jaina and looking at the doctors and like talking about her prognosis and stuff, and her talking about the pain that she's in and stuff like that. So you just kind of like scrub through all of that, and you're going back, and there's a flash of her in the ambulance and kind of freaking out, and Jaina's there holding her hand, and then there's like this like really chaotic mess, and you get through that, and then she's standing on the porch of a cabin, and she's talking to Jaina, and she's like facing the cabin and leaning against like a pole that holds up the front porch roof, and she has like a drink in her hand. It's in like a plastic Dixie cup. You get a scent that it's some kind of like fruity beverage, but you're not really sure what it is. And she's talking with Jaina, and they're kind of like laughing and everything. And then you see Jaina's eyes go wide, and she like reaches out to grab you, or Kristen in this case, but like from your perception, she reaches out to grab you, but then you just get like blasted from the side as something rams you, and there's like this terrible tearing feeling in your abdomen and in your leg. So much so that like you kind of have to like blink and shake your head to realize it's not you, it's this memory. It's very overpowering, and then kind of gets really murky. Everything is you hear shouting, and then like a thump, and this like huffing as something sloughs away through the brush nearby.
Did I catch any glimpses of any part of this thing whatsoever?
Mostly you saw, once it was really after you would have hit the ground, as you rolled and there was like that tearing sensation, you saw fur and like paws, like big paws, teeth in a muzzle, but it was really just so chaotic it's hard to say for sure what it was.
The paws, did they look more like paws or more like hands?
That is a good question. Let's do another check to try and focus on that. Let's do the same check to try and, like, you're essentially doing the CSI thing where you're like, all right, we're gonna like zoom in on this thing and bring it up clearer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Enhance.
So while you're rolling that, it's really funny because like so much of that is just fictional, but they've actually made computer algorithms now that can go in and fill in the details. I was just reading about this the other day, so we're getting to the point where that is actually a thing.
Kind of scary.
It's crazy,
I've seen
yeah.
photographs that were like blurry,
Right?
and they like put them through and they come out sharp. So, yeah.
Is it actually computerized, or is it magic?
Matrix.
Okay, so what
So that was a perception mind.
and mine, same thing? Okay.
Yep.
Ooh. I have. See, it looks like a 10, a 9, and a 7.
Nice. So yeah, you like stop it in your mind, and like your hands kind of go up even though you're not interacting with it, and you like zoom in to the thing in your mind, and you're like clarifying the image. The paws look bearish. Like, I feel like everyone knows what a bear looks like. So it definitely is reminiscent of a bear, but there's definitely something wrong. It's not, what you're seeing isn't a bear. It's bear-like. And there is a certain aspect to its paws that make you feel like they're slightly, it's the way that, like, you know how animals that have paws have like their toes, the fingers, and then they have like that dew claw that's like usually up higher. It's technically their thumb. This thing's dew claw is like down here and looks more like a thumb. It's just kind of like hanging there, kind of oddly, but it kind of looks like a hand and a paw.
Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. I wonder if her friend saw something then. I'll send a message on my superphone to my cohort down in the cafeteria getting the coffee. Say, definitely not a bear. Vision seems odd. Ask friend what they saw.
Okay.
Uh,
So speaking of, so you head out with Jada. You head down to the cafeteria. You go through the line and order whatever you're going to order. She gets a large black coffee and then goes over and dumps about half of the sugar container. It's like one of those that you pour out instead of like the packet. She dumps about half of it in and puts like 5 of those little like peel open creamers into it. She actually like needs to get she takes a plastic knife instead of like one of the stirring sticks, because she takes a stirring stick first and it just like bends as she's trying to stir it. So she takes the knife and like begins stirring it up. She also got like a small pastry, a bear claw. And goes and sits down with you and whatever you got.
just coffee, and I'll pay for the coffee, or pay for her stuff. I seem to have some pretty decent amount of resources. It's important to have moments like this. Good for your mental health, for your mindfulness. You should be able to take these sorts of breaks. She'll be fine. She'll recover just fine. Perhaps I can later offer you a list of mental health services that are provided through the hospital here.
She's just sitting there and she's stirring her coffee, and like at this point, like you're pretty sure the sugar is dissolved, even though there was that much sugar in it. And she's just staring at it. And she's like, "I just need to know she's going to be okay."
She'll be fine. She'll be fine. She's in very good hands. I know that you've probably been asked this before several times, and I do have some of the information that you have provided other people inquiring in this matter. But if you feel capable, I'd love to discuss with you what happened that night. It was a bear that you saw.
Make me a perception awareness or empathy.
All right, empathy. I've got 3. Perception. I have 3 6. All right. So many dice. 2 2s, a 10, a 9, a 9, and a 6.
Excellent. So she says, "Yeah, it was definitely a bear, but there was like enough of a pause before she said it, like she was obviously collecting her thoughts to, for lack of a better word, regurgitate the same information she's been telling everyone. You get the feeling that she is not lying, but she is trying to put into words what she saw."
I understand. And I know that the experience was traumatic, but perhaps if I could go through a series of bears that have been sighted or been known to be within this region, if you would maybe take a look at these bear species and maybe help me.
She kind of looks at you and she's like, "You want me to do a lineup of bears?"
It's to help me understand a bit further about the nature of this attack. Just trying to understand a bit more before I go back out in the field to look for it.
What kind of doctor are you?
I am a specialist.
Very special doctor.
Let's do.
So, do we still have a phone connection?
You do, yes, with
Okay.
the doctor. it's not in the room anymore. It's following Jaina. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Can I attempt to use my Mind 3 across that connection to influence her subconscious to kind of suppress her suspicion?
Gotcha. Yeah. So let's do it this way. John, let's have Dr. Burrows make a manipulation, subterfuge, and then
Manipulation is 3.
Devin is going to do mind. Let's do, because you're trying to do it through the phone, computer, or yeah, let's do computer.
Or
So I got-
technology, maybe.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, Ryan?
Or technology, maybe, and skills.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
yeah, so we've
Let's
got
start.
1 success with 8.
Okay, no botches.
No botches.
Okay. And what did you get there, Devin?
I got a 4, 3, 10, and 8.
Nice. So she definitely has like a sense of questioning, of kind of like nervousness that's starting to grow about her. But as you explained that you were a specialist, she is just like, oh, well, if you're a specialist, well, then that's great. I'm glad that you're here, Dr. Barros.
I'm glad to be here. I understand that my my job may be a bit odd, but there are many jobs out there that are unusual and difficult to fully explain without having more time.
She kind of
Not
looks
with
around,
me.
and there's no one sitting around you. And it's as you're saying this, and she finally takes the knife out of the coffee and sets it down. She holds the coffee. She doesn't start drinking it. And she's like, "Can I tell you something that I haven't told anyone else?"
Of course, I am here to listen.
Because I
Whatever you
feel
wanna
I
tell
feel
me.
like I can trust you because you're a specialist.
That's just exactly what I do. I want to help.
It it looked like a bear, but it was like this really skinny, fucked up looking bear.
As if it was malnourished, or perhaps it was deformed.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was just deformed. I mean, that happens, right?
It does happen. It doesn't usually allow for the creature to live very very long into his lifespan. Nature tends to
Well, good. I hope it just crawled off and died somewhere.
Dang.
She
Well-
drinks her coffee.
if that is the case, then I hope that we are able to find it and properly discover more of its origins and find ways to prevent additional attacks in the park.
I'm really glad there's a specialist on the case.
I am very happy to be here. Perhaps we can go back up to the room and have a chat with my colleague Stephen, and then we will let you rest up here. Just remember that you need to take time for yourself. I know it's very stressful, but you need to take time for yourself.
If it's all right with you, I might actually just walk outside for a little bit and then come up and meet you.
Of course, yes, please. Go enjoy some exercise. It's very good to clear the mind that way. Might even help with your sleep a little bit.
And as you're like having this conversation, like you feel your phone vibrate in your pocket.
I smile and says, I have to get this. I'm very sorry.
Oh no,
enjoy
that's
your
fine.
walk.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll meet you. I'll meet you up there. Just try not to
no.
wake Kristen if she's still sleeping.
Of course not. Of course we would never.
And so she
Sleep
gets
is
up.
very
And as you are you looking at your phone?
Yeah, I'm just gonna scoot away and then take a look at the phone.
It's the
We'll kinda
text
keep an eye
that
on her.
Steven sent you. but you already kind of feel like you got the information that he pointed out.
I'll head back up
Like
to
it's-
the.
If you hadn't
Hospital
convinced her by this point, you would have then essentially been informed by Steven, and she would have told you after that.
Actually, I'm gonna get a coffee
Teamwork.
for Steven. Get a coffee for Steven too, and head up there.
What kind of
Coffee
coffee do
mom.
you get, Steven?
Probably black
Do
coffee.
do a perception awareness.
Okay, perception awareness. Perception awareness. Okay. 3, 7, 8. So I've got 2.
Okay. You definitely feel like Steven has been doing something to his coffee. He's been adding something, but you're not really sure what it is.
Milk. I mean, it must be milk.
Do you want to bring creamer with you, or do you want to just add in the milk?
I'm gonna bring creamer with me and sugar packets. I just don't really know entirely how he does his coffee, but I'll bring him some coffee.
Excellent.
I'll get a refill myself as I'm an addict, and head back up to
Okay.
the hospital room, and I'll send a message to the other two, encrypted, of course. Creature, possibly not as classified. Further investigation needed to determine species. Yeah.
Okay. Let's. So essentially, for Devin and
Great.
Drake, thank you.
Draco.
You're in the Uber when you send that mind bolstering effect through there, Devin. You arrive at the hospital, and
Well,
Oh, yeah.
after the Uber pulls around the corner, I'm gonna have him stop and get out, and hang out, and just say, "Go on ahead. I'm gonna canvas this area."
oh,
little
okay,
bit.
gotcha, totally. The Uber guy kind of gives you a funny look, but then he just shrugs. This one's name is Pat, and he's driving a Lexus.
I'll give him a 5-star review when he arrives at the hospital with Devin.
Excellent. So, Devin, Pat drives you to the hospital, drops you off. Is there anything that you want to do before you go inside?
Nope.
Okay. Why don't we take a short break? Everyone can do any buyer runs that they need to do, or refill their coffee like I need to do. And
Coffee!
we'll pick it up from there. Where is my be back soon?
Be back soon.
Be back soon. We'll do
Just a
this
picture
one
of
for now.
picture of Libby, right?
Right. It should be. It should just be doggo cam, actually. She's not up here, though, so I can't do doggo cam. All right, everybody, if you're watching live, we'll be back in a few minutes. If you're watching on YouTube, well, I'm going to cut this part out, so you don't need to take a break at all. We'll be right back.
I'm just kidding.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to We Get to Play Mage the Ascension. Let's see. So we have the group still split, but
We ain't getting back
Steve,
together.
Steve
gonna
and
Uber
Dr.
around the rest of the
Barros are right. Steve and Dr. Barros are now meeting up again in Kristen's. I almost said hotel room, hospital room. She also has a hotel room. If you two want to go hang out there. Meanwhile, Drake is hanging out, keeping an eye on Kristen's house, or sorry, Jada's house, and Devin is in an Uber being dropped off at the hospital as we speak. Does that sound right? Perfect. So in the hospital room, Dr. Barrows walks in and...
I'm gonna close the door. Is there a way that we can use these devices to stop any potential eavesdroppers? Like, clean the room, sweep the room?
Sure. Let me look and see what that would be. Let's do technology and intelligence.
Tech and int. Well, I am smart. But tech. Hell is technology. Abilities. Oh yeah, I've got some points in that because I'm a mad scientist. When you've got a descriptor next to your intelligence, what does that count for something?
Oh, so yeah, so that's your specialization. I think that's the word. I could be wrong on that. And if you roll a 10 on a check that is like requiring that one, it counts as 2 successes.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm bright in intelligence. So let's see. Smart. Very
Too
smart. 2 10s, a 6, a 2, 4, and a 3. So. Is that
And are you also
2?
trying to like quiet it? Like if anyone's outside the door, are you also trying to like dampen it, or are you just like searching for bugs essentially?
Yeah, I want to do is it cleaning the room? Is it what's it called? Sterilize the room, sanitize the room.
Yeah, your like device sends out this pulse, and it doesn't get any pings back. There wasn't anything listening in, but if it was, it would have like fried it, shorted it out.
Perfect. I mean, precautions are necessary, I believe, at this stage, as unless somehow they were extremely unlucky and caught a juvenile, deformed, or emaciated bear. Don't think it was a bear. Don't think it was a bear. We would have seen more damage, property damage, or it seeking out food, and reports on that. But based on what we know and what the witness has told me, it's looking like not a bear, not of that species.
Yeah, and Steve, that totally lines up with the vision that you saw.
Interesting.
Was there anything in the charts regarding the wounds, the size of the wounds, the depth, number of stitches necessary, like how bad, like how clean were the wounds, like as far as like as being cut by a knife or really ragged?
Yeah, it's pretty generic, and it definitely like is lacerations caused by wild animal. There was some infection that they took care of as far as it. Well, she was rolling around in the dirt, and there was crap in there. They what's that called when they scrub the dirt out of wounds? Radiation or something like that.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Did they take any organic samples from the wound?
No.
No. They really should be doing those sorts of things in these sorts of cases. Well, any ideas?
Steven?
Well, I mean, I suppose I don't know how much more information we're going to glean from these two. I was able to corroborate what you heard simply by like sort of reading her thoughts, going back through the events. So if her friend wasn't able to tell us a whole lot else other than what you shared, maybe we just have to go on some animal hunt and actually visit the scene of the scene of the attack and see what we can find out there.
This is going to be our best bet, I think, at this stage.
Hopefully it's not contaminated, and if the park is closed down for the time being, hopefully no one else has been there in the meantime, and we can still get some evidence.
So while this conversation is going on, Devin, you're about in the elevator. Are you still connected to Jaina's phone?
Yeah.
You just notice that she's like checking her email and messages. She's sending out some like updates to Kristen's family and friends. She sent out a tweet that seems to be an update about whether or not, or essentially how Kristen's doing. She does mention that a specialist has been called in to find the bear.
Oh no! Now we have to kill everybody.
Fireball.
Everybody.
Everybody get on a FaceTime. You're now electrocuted to death.
Right.
They just have to turn their brains to mush, so they can't remember anything.
Right.
Let them scroll a couple more hours and they will have forgotten it anyways.
I was gonna say. All right.
Man.
So, do you just keep heading to the room?
Yeah, I kind of want to keep tabs if it feels like she is getting further away from me, like her phone's leaving the building.
No, you actually get the feeling after a little bit that it's getting closer. You had heard from her conversation with Dr. Barros that she was going on a short walk. After she finishes up with all the updates, she kind of remains stationary for about a minute and then starts heading back inside. So you get the feeling she'll probably be a couple of minutes behind you as far as entering Kristen's room.
Okay.
So you walk into the room. The other two, Dr. Rose and Steven, look like they're actually getting ready to leave the room. Or they're walking out as you're walking in. Hello, everybody. Hello, good to see you. We should all meet up with Devin.
Get on the ground. You have to remember.
Drake. Get
Fireball.
on the ground! Imposters!
Burn this hospital to the ground.
I'm gonna give Steven that coffee, along with the sugar and the little milk cups. Wish there was a way to see these wounds.
You've seen photos of them.
In the photos of the wounds, were they very clean or were they rippy kind of?
They were very rippy.
Very rippy. So
Yeah.
really bestial, primal sort of things.
Yeah.
The
And you get
same.
the feeling from the report as far as what they had to do to clean it and the stitches and all that stuff. It definitely is in line with being attacked by a wild animal as opposed to someone with knives.
She will have some very amazing scars.
That you will.
I'm going to, before we go, use my life spheres to maybe assist in the acceleration of her healing and to reduce the disfigurement.
Okay. Life. Let's see here.
Life!
So you have at least 2, right?
3.
Excellent. So do a life and... Ooh, that's a good question. What attribute are you trying to use? Because you are essentially trying to use your knowledge of the body to fix her body, right?
Yeah. I can do medicine. I've got intelligence.
Let's do a life with medicine with intelligence.
Life, medicine, intelligence.
All the dice.
4, 3, 2, 3, 6, 10. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. One bot. 1 7, 2 7s, 1 6, and 1 10.
Nice. So you just kind of go over and, you place your hands on her. You know that she got like a one large set of wounds, so like one gash from multiple claws on her leg, and then like another one on her torso. So you just kind of like hold your hands over her body, and you're not really using your life force to do this. You're like causing her life force to reorganize and knit itself together, and you feel like it. I mean, without taking the bandages off, you feel like it's going. If it isn't completely healed at this point, it's going to heal much better than it was. But
Yeah, I
while
don't
you're
want it to be
doing
too
that,
accelerated.
yeah, and when you kind of like are feeling her life force flowing together, you feel like it's in good condition. Like there's no taint to it, and there's no you don't feel any grit or anything from stuff that's in her wounds as you kind of like begin their mending process, like in a less detrimental way, like in a way that's going to cause her scars to be almost unnoticeable once they're done.
She deserves, a second chance. She's a victim here, and I don't want to leave her like that.
Okay. So,
The medicine they
well, the
use here
three
is just not great. It's just not as advanced.
it's true. These heathens.
They'll catch up eventually.
While this is going on, Drake. So you're like kind of hanging out on this corner, or like around the corner, and I'm assuming you're not just like standing there staring at the house.
No. I'd like to knock on the neighbor's doors and just kind of around her house and see if anyone's around.
Yeah, so like you knock on the first door, and this elderly lady answers the door, and you can see an elderly man sitting in like a recliner watching TV behind her, and he's kind of like looking over his shoulder. What can I do for you, Sonny?
My name is Drakov. I've been hired by Shelter's Insurance to do an investigation into the Janus Partners' recent injuries. Just want to rule out any kind of foul play or anything like that. Nothing to be concerned of. It's more of just checked in all the boxes. I just need to ask you a few questions. If you've seen Kristen around, if you know her,
Oh,
Jaina.
you mean that poor girl that lives across the street? Yes, I've heard that she was attacked by a wild rabid bear.
Yeah, that's what it's looking like. But just when with anything like this, we want to just make sure that not only is she taken care of in the best possible way, but also that if there's any way that we can help any police investigations. Have you had a chance to speak with her often, or do you know anything about her? Or
Oh, well, yes, they're nice girls. They bring us groceries sometimes when it snows.
and do you know what she does for a living?
Fuck no, I don't, because I don't think it's in the book. She's, an insurance salesman.
Yeah. Then she'd be very familiar with this process. Okay, and you haven't noticed anything out of the ordinary over the past few days or leading up to her attack, have you? I'm going to use a little bit of mind and a little bit of entropy, trying to read, kind of like, okay, her relationship. She likes these people. They bring her groceries. They're also old, and so they probably can't hear a lot, but they're always around. And so,
Right.
trying to kind of like latch on to, hopefully some good fortune that they might have seen something, and then also just kind of peeking into her kind of obviously clouding mind, to see if there's something that I can pull out that maybe she's forgotten.
So, did you say you have mind?
Yes, and entropy, which is the luck portion.
So, roll both of those with empathy and perception. All the stars.
2.
I do feel like D10s are like not used nearly enough in like D&D, and so games like this completely make up for dice that don't get to use very often.
I got 2 5s, 2 8s, a 9, a 7, and another 9.
Okay. There's definitely like this haze in her mind. She's not like, she doesn't have dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, but she's just older and not quite as sharp as some other older people are. But as you kind of dip through and push thoughts out for her to tell you, as opposed to like reading her mind, she's like, no, I haven't seen any bears or animals wandering around. But there is that boy that keeps following her. He's kind of, she told him no, and he keeps pestering her. And the guy kind of like leans back. He's like, yeah, I've got my shotgun here for the next time he shows up.
Well, as someone that works in the insurance agency, I would just caution any overt force as only if you yourself are in danger, or you see her in true danger. The police are probably more equipped.
Yeah, I know. As long as I tell him, no, please get off I feel endangered, then I'm good. As long as I have a witness.
Yeah, I suppose so. Do you know? Can you provide a description of this boy?
I believe I can. Hold, please. I think he's about her age. He's always wearing kind of raggedy clothes. Those sweatshirts that have the hoods on them.
A hoodie?
Yes. He's got red hair, and I think his face is all sort of freckly. He's a bit taller than she is, but he's kind of scrawny.
Okay. And you don't happen to know his name, do you?
I don't think so. Do you know his name? Let me think. It starts with a T, I think. Trevor, Taylor, Tiger, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great rest of your afternoon. And
You tell Kristen hi when you get to the office.
the office?
The office that you work at with Kristen.
Oh, yes. Of course. I mean, I'm not going to see her at the office for quite some time. She's still in the hospital.
What's she in the hospital for? Oh, she hasn't gone back to work yet. Right. Do you want a cookie?
Yes. I will
Yes.
never turn down a cookie.
Right. Come on in. I've got fresh cookies. And the house does smell like she's been baking.
Awesome. I will, all, like, as I'm walking behind her, shoot a text. kind of just updating the group. She might have been being followed or stalked or kind of, by a scrawny, red-haired, T-named man. I'm at the neighbors eating some cookies. Does anyone want an extra cookie?
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
I could dip one in my coffee. So she had a stalker, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Drake, do you have dimensional science?
No, I don't.
Because you could just open a portal and send them cookies.
Yeah, because that's not
Right?
hard to describe.
She'll
and
forget.
totally worth it.
Yeah, she'll forget.
As long as you else can see it, it makes total sense to us. So
Right.
it should be fine.
It's not a paradox. As you walk by the older gentleman, he actually does have a shotgun laying next to his chair. And there's like a box of shotgun shells sitting there. So he wasn't just talking. He's serious. And she leads you to the kitchen, and there's like a couple cookie sheets on the cooling racks that have these like little star-shaped cookies. And it looks like she was kind of in mid-decoration when she went to answer the door. Some of them have frosting and like those little silver edible balls. Yeah.
I'll say, wow, these smell and look amazing. Do you need help finishing it up?
No, I've got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Does not
Well,
her
I'll
over take the cookies.
Yeah. And then
So-
I'll head out the front door.
Okay, so yeah, she takes like a paper plate out and puts some cookies on it, and then puts like some press and seal over it. There you go. You can share them with anyone you'd like.
Really appreciate it. It's hard to find this sort of kindness these days. And I'll just kind of munch on a cookie as I walk
Ain't
out.
that the truth?
Bang, bang, bang.
Did she cast Fireball?
Right? Or you just
Oops.
like cast Fireball and cause her mind to flip inside out. It'll be fine.
She's probably a ghoul for a vampire, honestly.
As soon as you said cookies, I started thinking about Hansel and Gretel. I'm like,
Yeah.
like
She's like, "Can you clean my oven? Just get up in there." It's an awfully large oven you have here, ma'am. I know I need to make lots of cookies.
is there a coffin in here?
Why is there a coffin in here? That's for my husband.
It's a walk-in incinerator. They use as an oven.
So after talking to them, where are you gonna? What's your plan there, Drake?
I'll so I'll send that text and then I'll shoot another text like, well, what time is it?
Not much time has passed since you were dropped off, so it's still midday for you.
I'll continue to canvass the other houses if anyone seems to be around, and then other than that, I'll just kind of wait to hear. I have nothing to do until after 7, and we may not even need to do that. So just gonna wait to hear when the rest of the group is ready to do something else.
So about an hour passes, and then everyone else kind of catches up with this. Well, you catch up with everyone else's time frame. As far as kind of canvassing around, there's like one other neighbor, and they don't really know the pair that live over there. They don't know Jaina and Kristen. They've seen them, but they don't really know them. If you bring up the guy that the other neighbors have seen, they think they've seen him in the area, but they don't know whose house they were going to. They weren't really paying attention. So somewhat corroboration, but not really any extra information.
Does it appear that Kristen and Jaina live together, or that Jaina lives alone? Okay, so that is their house. Okay.
Yeah.
I am gonna, is there an alley behind the house or a backyard?
So there's like a yeah, I guess you could call it an alley. There's like a little drive that would go back, and they park their car behind the house instead of in front of, unless they want to park on the street. But there's like a little
Yeah.
drive-in area.
Yeah, I mean, I'll walk back there and I'll kind of scope out the house just to see if anything really jumps out at me. But
Yeah.
other than that, I'm not.
Everything looks pretty normal. Make a perception survival.
Okay. A 2 and a 5.
2 and a 5. Yeah, you don't really notice anything out of place. There's no car parked there, so either they share a car or they only have, or
Could I
like
do
both cars are somewhere else.
investigation, maybe?
Investigation. Sure.
Okay, I'll add that. Okay, no, that's another 2.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like the
Yeah.
back of someone's house.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then I'll just kind of wait and then suggest meeting up.
Okay. So where do the other 3 of you want to go from the hospital?
We should ask about this potential lead, the stalker. See if the partner knows anything about it, or if Dana has woken up. Have a chat with her.
What's the description of the person that died?
Isle of Ash.
Yeah, I was about to say it, but kind of grayish particulate matter in a box.
It's not this. It's not this person.
Correct.
Okay.
And that person died before Kristen's attack.
Okay.
So the down the hallway, the 3 of you hear the elevator ding, and Jaina walks out and starts heading towards the room. She smiles at you and asks if there's anything else. She's probably going to go lay down and take a nap. So,
Sleep is very good. Part of the recovery process. I would recommend getting a pull-out bed, though. So much more comfortable than those chairs.
yeah, they
At
said
least
they
you can
bring one
stretch
up if she's going to be here overnight. So I assume they'll bring one up soon.
I suspect that she'll pull through fairly quickly. She seems very strong. Her vitals are very strong. It'll take her some time to recover emotionally from this, but with a good friend like yourself, I think that will be accelerated.
So she's staying in the room with her friend.
Yeah, you get the feeling that she was there overnight, and will probably be there overnight tonight if Kristen isn't checked out, which you don't feel like she will be. So what are y'all thinking there?
I'm thinking as soon as they're sleeping, I'm going to observe their dreams.
Oh, nice. Technically, Kristen's already sleeping, so you could probably do that.
And she's the victim, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I want to use some of my mind mage powers to.
Okay. Do you have
sample her dreams.
What do you think that is? Like, esoterica kind of pops out to me, but as far as abilities.
Shit, man, I don't know.
Okay, let's go esoterica.
Maybe empathy too, or
At least see
meditation.
what my highest thoughts are at, and then.
Right. Let's do
Firearms.
Let's do mind, empathy, or esoterica and perception.
What the hell's esoteric? Okay. So you said perception, empathy.
mind.
Oh yeah, that's a good dice pool right there. That's 8 dice, baby.
All the dice.
Now I just have to find where my roller is. Where's my mouse?
You got a peeker.
So 8d10.
All the excitement of rolling dice.
I know.
Stretched out over time.
Big numbers, no whammies. All right, so I got 1-1, but I got a 10, a 9, and a 9.
Okay. Did you do empathy or esoterica?
Empathy.
So I'm going to go with, you get as far as like the feelings you're getting, and with some imagery as opposed to more imagery and feeling. There's definitely like, she's not like actively vividly dreaming, like there's no lucid dreaming going on, but like you kind of peer into her mind, and there's like the mind kind of just decluttering itself. There's
Looking
definitely a
for, like-
sense of fear.
Okay.
And fear and terror. You get like, pain isn't really an emotion, but that feeling that you get when you're in pain. I'm sure there's a German word for it, but English doesn't really have one.
It's called ow, motherfucker, ow.
Yeah, you definitely like that lingering sense of that. And you do get flashes of this event happening as far as the attack, but it's really vague.
Does it feel like she's being kind of... Is it like normal fear? Does it feel like it's being driven supernaturally? Or
That
there
feels
any-
like normal fear.
If this is just a bear, I'm gonna be pissed.
Just a bear that drank a little too much of the polluted water up the stream.
Right? Turns out she was trying to, play with the cubs or some shit. What is the what are the visuals kind of like? Does it kind of show the thing that it?
Yeah, you don't really get so much of like the setting. Like she's not like, it's not replaying. It's more of like replayed instances of the attack, and it's like darkness and being attacked, pain. You get some like glimpses of fur and teeth and claws, but there's not really a whole bunch of surrounding that goes
Okay.
around it.
Gotcha.
All right, so while Devin is doing that, Stephen and Dr. Barros, what are you doing?
Trying to figure out how to ask her about the boy,
Yeah.
but I don't want to entirely blow my cover here. I have no means of reading her mind.
I mean, can we just ask her? Well, I suppose if we just ask her friend, that's gonna seem kind of strange. Like, why are you asking about him when there's this bear attack? It seemed kind of weird. Is there anything? Does she have like phone or anything nearby? You said her friend left a note like underneath her phone.
Mhm.
Maybe we can somehow tap into that, and maybe there's some text messages or something back and forth with her friend talking about this boy that just won't leave her alone. Maybe we can get a name or an idea of who he is, where he lives, that sort of thing. So maybe that would be...
Right.
I'm kind of techie, so maybe, I don't know. Apparently our super phones, we like touch our super phone to the thing, and so if I touch my super phone to her phone, maybe I can tap into her messages.
Sure. So let's do a technology. Intelligence.
Technology, intelligence. All right. Not as many dice as I would like. I feel like for being techie, I don't have as many skills in technology as I should have. But I got an 8 and a 6.
Okay. So yeah, you like just kind of like nonchalantly. You're looking at your phone and you just lower it enough to like tap it, and then pick it up again and walk back away so it wasn't like obvious what you were doing. And you bring up her text message history, and there are text messages with Jaina, but you, having been told that there's a fellow with a name that starts with T, fairly recently in her conversations, in fact there are some that are like, hey, I heard you are in the hospital, are you okay, is a you see a stream of messages from a guy named Taylor, and you notice that, like, how you can put images for your contact. So like there's a picture of Jaina for Jaina, but for Taylor there's a picture of, like, the emoji that's like bleh.
Right.
Or so no picture of him. Do these text messages, does he seem to be like always messaging her and she like doesn't really reply?
For the
Like,
most
she's
part,
not-
yeah, there's a lot
Interesting.
of like, hey, we should go out sometime, hey, do you want to go to the movies, a lot of her not replying, and then there's some of her just being like, I told you no already, just leave me alone, don't make me block you.
Maybe we should ping his phone and try and get that.
Some good fodder for the nice guys subreddit right there. Interesting. I'll share what I have found with, and there's an associated number, I assume. Maybe
There would be, yeah.
we can look that up and get an actual name, possibly an address off of that. So I'll take that and see if we can shoot that back to headquarters. See if they can get us some information on that.
Yeah, surveillance footage would be really useful anywhere nearby where that person travels. If there's any surveillance, city surveillance or county surveillance, state surveillance.
Maybe some more ding cameras.
Social accounts too. Does he have any like social media accounts?
Yeah, I mean we can probe
Yeah, that's
it.
a great
See
question.
what we can come up with. If he's got social media, if he's got Twitter, Instagram, maybe he's a Facebook boomer.
So you do find his name, like you. So essentially, you can look up through, like, essentially a reverse lookup through the phone number. His name is Taylor something. I'm sorry, I just can't find his last name.
Okay. Taylor something.
Yeah,
Swift.
it's a weird last name, but you've seen weirder shit.
Taylor
He
Swamp.
he does have a Facebook, but it doesn't look like he updates it very often. There's like pictures of him with some friends.
Isn't like
Mostly
Photoshop
like-
in there at all?
No, they're mostly like pictures of him in the forest. Pictures like them hanging out, drinking, partying. But they're usually like partying in like the forest as opposed to like somebody's house.
Hey. And how old are these people? Are they like teen?
Yeah,
Or
they're like
they-
in their early 20s.
Okay, so old enough to be drinking, college age probably.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, interesting. So they have a spot in the woods. And is Kristen or Jaina in any of these photos that were on his on his Facebook page?
Do a perception. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Investigation?
Perception. Okay. Uh, 6, 7, and 4.
Okay. You do notice a couple of photos where they're not like in the photo, like they're not part of the group, and the group isn't really like where they're partying, but it looks like, he's like, hey, walking through the forest, blah, blah, blah. And there's a like picture of him, but he's kind of off to the side, and Kristen's like back over his shoulder, obviously not with the group.
Taking photos with her.
Right.
Are any of the photos geotagged?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say yes.
So we've got a GPS location for where this is. Does that correlate to our campground?
It
where
does.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And the most recent photo like that was actually taken the day before the attack. So that'd be August 3rd, I think.
Okay. Interesting. So he was out there with them at some point. Man, if we could get in touch with him, or maybe we can track his phone records, or something like that. We can see based on cell towers where he was at any particular point. Was he next to her phone when the attack happened?
That's a good question. Let's do either computer or technology, and I keep going back to it, intelligence.
Yeah. Are either of the other two with me? Good
So
at these
this is kind of like all happening while
while I'm tapping into her phone.
yeah, so you're all kind of doing different things at the same time.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Got 2 6s and a 5.
Okay. From as far as you can tell, because it's not quite like geolocation, they're pinging the towers, and it's a lot of it is more like an area as opposed to specific. Yes, it was in the same area. But
Okay.
as far as was it right next to her phone, you can't really tell for sure.
Okay. Well, I'll certainly relay all this information over and let everybody know, that they were out in the woods together at the time that
Are you like saying this with Jaina there, or are you like texting everyone?
she didn't leave yet.
Yeah, so she's talking to Dr. Barros right now.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no.
Keeping her distracted.
I will hold off on that.
Okay.
At least for now, until we have a chance to talk privately, and maybe we talk to Jaina later, but and kind of question her about that. Was Jaina in that last photo too?
No, just Kristen.
Just Kristen. Okay.
But it looked like she was probably talking to somebody off camera.
But she was obviously out there when this happened too.
Right.
So. Okay.
Okay. So, Dr. Barros, you're talking with Jaina, and you see the other two essentially finish up what they're doing and kind of nod to you. So you get the feeling they have collected some information that can't be shared right now.
No worries. I'm just keeping Jane's attention so that
Okay.
they can do their work without her catching any sort of eye on what they're doing, or reduce chances of paradox if we get a little aggressive. But with that signal, I will wish her well. Remind her to drink plenty of water. Definitely get sleep take mindfulness moments for yourself, as you also need to recover from this this tragic incident. And don't worry about your friend. She will be your partner. She will be fine.
Dr. Burrows, you were saying that you have someone I can talk to, or that maybe
Yes,
Kristen
yes,
and I can
there
talk
is,
to. Do you have a card so I can call you
yeah.
later?
Of course, I'd be more than happy to provide you with resources, experts you can speak to assist you with just
To wipe
processing
your
this
memory.
experience.
I mean, what?
What? Well, I mean, that might also be necessary, but for now, I will give her ye old generic Dr. Barros card.
'Kay.
That says specialist at the bottom of it.
Yeah, as the three of you head out and close the door, you definitely hear her mutter, "I'm so glad there's a specialist here." All right. So meanwhile, do you let Drake know that you're wrapping up at the hospital?
Yeah.
And where do you plan on going from the hospital?
I mean, I would say we should get some coffee, but might be better use of our time while we still have daylight to go to the park and investigate there.
Okay. So Drake, you get a message that they've wrapped up at the hospital and they're heading to that park. What's your plan?
I will go there.
Okay.
I'll say I'll meet him there.
So everyone gets an Uber, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah.
All right.
We each get different ones, or
Right. Just this fleet of Ubers. So you all arrive more or less around the same time. It's a little further away from the hospital than it is from the neighborhood that Kristen and Jaina live in. So Drake arrives first, and then the other three of you come up. You're dropped off essentially at like kind of a trailhead that has one of those little kiosks that has the map and like the little pamphlets and the Smokey the Bear poster and all of that stuff. But you see several trails that go off into the forest.
Well, we do have the geotag information, so we should be able to plug that in, and it'll lead us right to the general area where the pictures were taken.
Yeah.
So we can figure out how far away from the cabin that is. Maybe it's right at the cabin. Maybe it's
When
not.
we get together, I'd just like to do an information exchange because I have not been with you all at all.
Nope. Got to go into this blind.
The one thing that is kind of catching my attention is that these pictures that you're basing this search on, like, it was under my impression, based upon talking to the neighbors, that Kristen knew this Jamie guy, right? Like, and had turned him down. And so in the pictures, like, I hadn't seen them yet, but I'd like to look at them. Does it look more like this is a group of friends and Kristen and whoever she's talking to, we're going to assume Jaina, are just like straggling in the back and talking? Or does it more seem like this is two groups of people on a hike and Kristen and her girlfriend are behind, like he's trying to, you get what I'm saying? Like it's like a large group of people and two of those people are kind of hanging back and talking of themselves, or two different groups of people.
So just looking at the one photo, it's kind of hard, but if you swipe through the others, it becomes pretty obvious that Kristen and Jaina are not part of the group, because like the other pictures are just the group like elsewhere, and Jaina and Kristen aren't there. So any of the pictures that have Kristen in them seem like they're more as they were passing by, he caught these photos.
Okay.
Okay. Gonna head off into the forest.
Into the forest.
Okay, so following... Oh, go ahead.
So before we do that, since we've got everybody together, is someone particularly good with technology and maybe you could use your superphone to try and locate and tap into said alleged stalker's phone to see if he has more of these photos that are not necessarily social media friendly, that look a little more stalkery.
Well, I do work with biotech, hypertech, and I'm a genius. I could be of assistance, but these are not my
We're all
specialties.
geniuses here. Just
We're all geniuses.
We're all geniuses here, but I'm a genius. Really
Yeah, I
is.
literally have it on my character sheet. As a
everyone does. I
Yeah,
think.
it's what you
Yeah.
it's what you did to Jaina's phone. So my go-to is probably Devin, but it's all your guys' call.
Yeah, it's not my specialty at that level, but I'm happy to assist.
You have more than just a really cursory knowledge of technology, Devin.
Well, you know, I have 2 dots.
Same.
Well, that's more than my dots. So perhaps, you know, I will suggest this idea, and if you want to give it a shot, we can. Otherwise,
I mean, I'm always willing to break several laws.
especially as while we probably still have cell signal by,
Hang on.
or maybe there's satellite phones.
I have the wrong character sheet up. Hang on. I may not have 2 dots. I
I
had
do,
the good
so-
doctor up.
I am the good doctor.
I have a single dot in technology.
Okay.
I'll give it a go. Try and log into. You want just his phone log, or what are you trying to do?
I want to get in and take a look at his camera roll.
Oh, actually, get into his phone, hack his
Oh
phone.
well, I have the data sphere.
Ooh.
I don't have the
That's how I
means to
got
do that.
into. That's how I hacked the ring thing
Right.
or the dingaling.
Yeah. I say we see if we can try that. See if we can get into his phone and actually see his camera roll and flip through and figure out from the last day or couple days around that time how many more of these pictures were there and how creepy do they get.
So Devin's gonna do an intelligence technology data sphere. And if Devin's not going to do that, let me know.
So intelligence, technology. That's 6 dice.
Lot better odds than I have.
6 dice. Right. Big whammies, no money. Or big money, no whammies. Oh man. All right. Good. No botches. I got 2 10s, a 6, and a 4. 4,
Okay.
3.
So as you are doing this, you get this like resistance, and you manage to push through the resistance, but there's something about Taylor's phone that in your mind triggers as magic, almost like there's some kind of defense put on his phone, or latent magic that's on it that just made it more difficult to get into the phone. You managed to get into it, and you can access pretty much whatever you need to from it. What's your plan?
Let's pull his call history, his photos, videos. All of it. All of it.
Okay. As far as call history, there's definitely calls to Kristen's phone.
And I'll be telling the group this as well,
Okay.
including the magical part of it.
Beware his browser history.
That's why you should use in private or incognito.
Incognito. There is another call to a woman named Arg. He's named Arg.
Arr.
Go.
Come on, where are you? Dooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. Dooba-dooba-doo. I think it's Tamra.
Tamriel.
No, just Tamra.
What time were these calls? Was there any calls around 11:30 on the 2nd?
No, there's some like early the next morning.
Okay. And those are to Tamara?
Yeah.
Are any calls to Kristen after the attack?
There's one just recently, like within the last day, but otherwise no.
Okay.
And otherwise, you find pretty much what you found otherwise, as far as, there's more pictures of him in this group of friends, and there's more pictures of that he's taken. That's obviously like there's some that are just Kristen, obviously taken from a vantage point. There is a picture of her house. There is a picture of the back of her house. Yeah, so there's definitely some like awkward stalkery photos in there.
Maybe we should just go wait in her house for him to show up.
Interesting.
What is that creepy?
Maybe
Is this Tamara showing up in any of his social posts other
Yeah.
than the phone calls? Okay.
And there's no last name; it just says Tamara.
We have a number, right?
Yeah.
But
So
you
we
do
can
have a
find
number.
out who she is. So reverse phone lookup.
You do that, and you actually find out it is an unregistered number. It's like a burner phone.
Interesting.
Interesting. Not helpful.
Do our phones allow us to like spoof another number?
Sure, why not?
Okay. I'm gonna make a robocall to this Tamara person.
Okay, from
My phone,
Caleb.
but I'll just be like it'll be from the region. Like I'll just say it's from here.
gotcha. So not from like Taylor's number, but just not from your number.
Right.
Okay. It rings and rings and rings, and then it never goes to voicemail.
And it continues to ring.
Yep.
I'm gonna just put my phone in my pocket and let it continue to ring.
Okay.
That's just cruel, but I'm gonna do it.
She could have silenced the phone too.
Right.
Good. I mean, if it continues to ring after a while, I'll turn it off. But like hoping that I could just get a pick up, click off sort of response is
Right.
what I was looking for. If it doesn't happen, hang up.
Okay.
You could pretend to be Taylor and see what happens.
No, I don't want to do that.
Too risky.
Yeah, because if she answers and I'm not Taylor, because I'm not Taylor, like I don't want to alert her to something going on yet. We don't even know who she is.
True.
Yeah, that's wise.
You could pretend to be him via text message though. And then voice won't
Are there
give
any
you.
text messages from him to her?
They're not.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Are there what are the text messages that he sends to others?
Like the ones to Kristen have that like, if you were a stalker obsessed with someone, but are trying to like convince that person that they need to be with you, that kind of messaging. And then there's just other ones to like this one's to Jeff. What's up, bro? We're gonna go party. Blah blah blah. A lot of it is just. And then there's a couple to Mom. Hip, doing fine. Blah blah blah. So pretty normal stuff, except for the one to Kristen. There's actually a few from. It just says J. And has an emoji. That's like an angry face, as the picture instead, and it's most of the messages are from Jay rather than to Jay. And they're like, leave Kristen alone. She told you no. Fuck off. You're a dick. Eat a dick and die. Like, essentially a bunch of threats. And then there's a couple of messages back to Jay that say, well, I guess we'll see. She probably wants this more than she wants to eat your taco. Stuff like that.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
What shall you do?
Probably go. I think that we aren't going to be able to find much more unless we get to where the attack was.
Okay.
Or unless we could find him. Like that, I would love to be able to find him.
You could ping his phone.
We should do that.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay. So just somebody do a, with having the days for probably Devin do a data intelligence technology.
We could also lure him by spoofing Kristen's number and say, we need to talk about what happened, and see if we can lure him back to the hospital or something.
Yeah, I mean, the only problem is he's a stalker, right? And so we don't know, like, he might be at the hospital right now. And so I don't want to, like, say, hey, come to the hospital, then have her be murdered or something, right? Like,
The awkward, come see me.
That's
I'm
very
standing
considerate.
right here.
yeah. But, yeah. I think eventually that might be a good call. Like, I think that's a good plan in the future. But until we know who this person is or where he is, like...
Yeah, we need to figure out where he's at.
Okay. Devin, what'd you get?
Say what?
What'd you get on your rolls?
My tabs have disappeared. What did you tell me to roll?
So intelligence, technology, data. Data.
Let's see. No ones again. Woo. 10, 6, 6, 7, 5, and 4.
Okay. So you ping his phone. It is currently, if you brought it up on a map, it is at the Forest City Country Club.
Ooh. I think we should go raid his apartment.
Did you look for like a location for his address earlier?
No, we can.
No,
Okay.
but yeah, I can.
Looking it up, like there is no listed address for him.
All right, so we have to confront him. Somebody ask him his address, and I will pull it from his thoughts. Just walk up to him and be like, "What's your address, bro?"
I think we should, like... I'll say, like... I don't mind fucking scaring the shit out of this kid. I'm pretty good at it. I think we have enough evidence he doesn't know where we got it, where we could, at least just maybe scare him into telling us what's going on and get something from there. But I think that might be a really good approach.
I like it, and I can assist by putting minor illusions in his mind.
Yeah, I have some of that too, but you're probably better at it.
You mentioned magical wards, strong programming, a VPN of some sort, child safety
Phone
lock on.
seems to be protected at a low level. I mean, obviously lower than my skill. But...
do we know of any other operating mage ventures in the region?
So you do know that the mystics. So Yeah, so there's definitely like this area is contended. Is that right? Contended?
Contested.
No. Contested. Thank you. Between the Mystics and the Technocracy, but perhaps the amount of magic that you sense through the phone might be from someone like a hedge wizard or a mystic. It definitely didn't have the feel of your magic.
Does it feel like magic or does it feel like supernatural? Isn't Chicago known for like a werewolf community?
Yeah,
A really strong vampire community in
Yeah.
Chicago, for sure.
there's a lot of supernatural going on in Chicago in general.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, would a supernatural like protection or aura feel the same as what he was feeling, or would it have a distinct?
I feel like it would have a different feel because like you're pretty good at like understanding the feel of what magic that you're casting. You might not have really experienced a lot of supernatural stuff unless your background says so, but this felt more like magic than supernatural ability or effect. But it didn't necessarily feel like technocratic magic. More layman, you would probably put it as.
Okay.
Do we have a dossier on the other cabal? Do we know of any of its leadership? Do we have contact with them?
You don't.
I'm gonna Google. Oh, sorry.
No. I'm just trying to figure out contacts.
Yeah, I was gonna Google First City Country Club and Tamara. See if there's anyone that works there or is a member.
Right.
Or, you know.
Nothing comes up like all your returns are essentially just the country club. There's like
Okay.
some photos of it. There's its website. There's a Yelp review. There's several Yelp reviews. They have a Facebook page. They have a Twitter. There's
Is
a
it closed?
LinkedIn.
Is it close? Is it nearby?
Currently open, and it is not really like nearby, but it is in the area.
Search for the country club and Taylor, and maybe we can tell if he is a member versus an employee.
Yeah, I'll go to their website and see if they have like an employees list, or maybe even, I don't know, while you're kind of investigating his phone, you know, did he use TurboTax recently, and like, can you get his W-2s from last year? Like, I mean, those sorts of things, like, yeah, see if you can see where he works or whatever, or if it's on his Facebook page, like he might just say, I work at here.
Okay. There doesn't seem to be any connection that you're finding as far as Taylor goes to the country club, but Devin, like going through his phone, does find the number is in there as far as contacting the country club. It hasn't been called, but it is a contact, and I'm pretty sure you got at least 110 when you were doing this. So let's give you. When you check his emails, there's a fairly recent addition, like a fairly recent email last couple of months. That's like his membership email. Welcome to the country club. So yeah, he is a member.
Mm.
How can he afford that? Is he mid-20s, right?
Trust fund kid, maybe.
Could be trust fund, yeah. Or it could be a front or something else. Country club could be a venture of some sort, not in the same sense, but whatever the mystics call that. Although it'd be a very strange place for a cabal.
Interesting.
I suggest let's go there. I mean, let's
Let's go there, see if it's actually active.
Well, we know what it looks like, so we could certainly go there and then look around for him, or just wait in the parking lot for him to come out and confront him there, whichever. I want to do that rather than confronting him in the country club. They might call the cops. But we can always find him, or we can tail him. We can just watch where he goes. So I don't know. Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, if we get a bit of luck, we might be able to find him. I don't know, like in the locker room, like in a fairly compromising position and a great kind of privacy place. So why don't we head there and see and get a better sense? But
Okay.
Let's do it.
Take some over-the-shoulder photos, selfies with him
And then send it to him.
in the locker
Remind you
room.
of anything. All right, so you did you drive out here together, or did you catch an Uber out here together?
It was an Uber, I think, wasn't it?
Ubers, I think.
All right, so you call another Uber. The Uber comes and gets you and takes you to the country club.
Is there
As
a
you're
box
driving,
for a big van?
what's that?
Can we just check? Is there a box for party van?
Right. I'd like to roll
Uber
party
party
van,
van.
please.
If they have a rewards program, I feel like we would earn a lot of points.
Right.
I mean, at this point, is there like I don't know, Denver has them and other cities do, where it's like it's not like a ride share, it's like a car share.
Vehicle
Oh, yeah.
share. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we
totally.
could just get one of those so we have
Sure.
a car.
Yeah, so the Uber will pick you up and bring you back to the city and drop you off at one of those. And you can get a sedan of some kind that is big enough for everyone to fit in.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then
Yeah,
you
we'll
drive
head
up
over
to the. Okay.
Yeah.
So you drive up to the country club, and as you get closer, you realize it's like a gated community. Like there's a fence that goes around it, and there's a check-in booth with a couple of guards standing at it. What do you do?
I feel like so I'll drive because I have at least some skill in it, and I feel like during the drive we'd have some time to maybe formulate a little bit of a plan, like while we're driving over. So it's not like, I mean, my assumption is that the country club is going to have a gate, like all country clubs have a gate, right? I'm somewhat talented and in mental manipulation, and maybe could get some luck on a guard change or a new guard that might not know us. Maybe we could like coordinate our talents together and sneak in right through the front door.
Devin, could you potentially get in their system and look for like a list of tee times at the country club? Maybe we can pretend we're there to play a round of golf.
I mean, I can try.
You
Or
can
you
actually
can
just go to their
like-
website and look that one up.
Or you could just try and convince him, when we get to the gate, you can try and manipulate him into saying, "Hey, we're just here to play a round of golf."
Yeah, we're at the 4:30 or 4 o'clock tea time.
Right.
We just need to know the name of a member. Oh, we're meeting Taylor.
Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, we're here to meet Taylor for a couple beers after, and maybe some handball or.
That's right. Let's use up all of his guest passes.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you drive up. Your plan is to tell them that you're guests of Taylor. Are you going to do any manipulation on them
Not
when you
right
tell them
out.
this? We are friends of Taylor.
I can.
We are here to play golf.
Right.
My gut is like, let's not, unless they press the subject,
Okay.
right? Like, unless they're like, no, then we'll use our abilities. But
Okay.
it might just
So
be like,
you drive up and there's a couple of guards. They're wearing these fairly generic suit coats. They're like a dark maroon color, and they have like a little symbol that you recognize as the symbol of the country club. They ask to see your pass.
I'll make a show of looking in my jacket and shit, I knew I forgot something when I left.
I'm sorry, I can't let you in with it without your pass.
Well, Taylor asked us to come. This is where I'll maybe use some of my mind magic.
Mind goose him.
He assured me that it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, he's spoken so highly of the club, and we're considering joining. Maybe you could kind of steer us in the right direction to get to someone to talk to about joining. That was the eventual plan at the end of our golf game. I just am trying to rush to get to tea time.
Excellent. Let's do some mind manipulation. See if there's a ability in here.
And just in case, I'm readying my.
I have a specialty in guile and manipulation.
Nice.
Firearms coming online.
Roll those two. Do manipulation and mind to start with.
Subterfuge or streetwise or intimidation.
That's what I was trying, because you're not really trying to intimidate.
Okay.
What
So you
is
said-
expression? Anyone
Yeah, I can do expression. I don't.
Sure.
Okay. So it was. What was it? Manipulation
mind, and expression.
and expression. Okay. Okay. So I got a lot. I got 1-1, which cancels out one of my successes, so I can't
Right.
have that like the 9. Then I got 2 10s, but since this is a specialization, then those count
Right.
as 4 10s.
Right.
Then I got 7, a 6, and an 8, and then 2 3s and a 2.
So, Devin, you said you were like essentially prepping in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah, I'm just like, clearing the way to my gun, making sure.
You actually notice the other guard puts his hand in his jacket like he is armed at a country club. But then when Drake does this, and the other guy's like, "Oh, Taylor, you know Taylor? Oh yeah, Taylor, man, sweet. Yeah, he's up, at the party that's going on. So just drive up there. Just let him know next time he needs to leave your names at the gate, because he probably forgot, right? You know Taylor."
Taylor, he's always partying, right? Okay.
And the other guard takes his hand out of his jacket,
Cool.
They're
How about
armed,
roll up
guys.
and
the
his
window?
gun is in it, and he shoots you. Bam, bam, bam. Just kidding.
Fireball.
Or am I? Fireball. My wife
Yeah.
is cooking something, and I am suddenly hungry.
Yeah.
So we need to wrap this up. All right, so you drive in. You can see there's a parking lot up at the top of a small hill, and the building is like beyond that.
I'll drive up and work.
So when you park and you get out, you can hear like some music playing. There's voices carrying from like an outdoor area. It looks like a common area, but there's definitely some event going on up there.
I'll like straighten my jacket and. Is there a valet?
If you would, yeah, you could have like had them park it totally if you want to,
Okay.
or you can
Are
bring
we-
your own car. It's up to you.
Are we dressed for a party?
I feel like you dress fairly decently, like not in tuxes, but
Yeah, not men in black in suits.
one of
That's
you is
what-
definitely dressed men in black style. I think it's Devin.
I'm in a suit, but it's more
Are you?
like business suit, not like a
Right.
minute suit.
I'm in a power suit.
Yeah.
I'm in a
Pads-
special
Shoulder pads for
black-
days.
Black suit. Black
You just look
sunglasses.
like a triangle with like legs.
Yeah. My vintage 1989 power suit.
I like it.
Yeah. She's fierce.
So you're gonna head up towards the
Yeah, go to
noises?
the party. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, go to the
So you
party.
get up that direction and you're looking around, and it looks like there's like a large gathering of people. Many of them are drinking or like eating small hors d'oeuvres. There's just kind of general conversation going on. It's hard to really guess what this is for. There's no sign that's like the Mystic party or something like that. You don't get the feeling that there's any point that you can see to this party. But everyone can go ahead and do a perception alertness.
Oh yeah.
I got 2 2s and 2 7s.
Okay.
2 7s and 1 2.
Dude,
Okay.
not me. Nope. I have no idea what's going on.
You're just busy looking for the sign. You're just like, come on.
Yeah, I guess 7, 2 3s, and 2 1s. So I have no idea what's happening.
So I got a 10, 7, 6, 8, and a 1, and a 4.
Okay. So while oh crap, I forgot your name, Steve. While Steve is looking for a sign that reveals what this party is for, everyone else, because he's pretty easy to notice with like that flaming top of hair. There's a guy with a blue hoodie, red hair, black jeans. Definitely stands out in this crowd, but he's like on the other side of the crowd talking to a woman. She's tall, has like very neat blonde hair, shoulder length. She's wearing a power suit as well. It's not quite as triangular as Dr. Barros's, but it's still pretty powerful. It seems like they are not arguing, but their conversation is not a pleasant one.
Do I recognize her from my time in this city?
Nope.
No. Do I recognize anybody at this party?
Taylor.
Taylor. All right. But I've not, like, while I was studying my pre-med here, I wasn't, none of the people here are people that I was around or
roll
interacted
me. Let's just roll a d10.
Roll it on.
Tell me what you get.
with. 6.
6. Nope, you don't really recognize anyone.
That's good. That's good.
Is there any way to sort of, just sort of feel out and detect? Are there any magical forces around? Perhaps alarms, barriers, or even just general sense of magic at this party?
I think that's
What would that be?
I think that's an awareness check.
Okay, just like straight awareness or like awareness
Like awareness.
perception?
Yeah.
Well,
Does
you always
anyone
have
have
an
a-
attribute. You always have an attribute with a roll.
Yeah.
Right, so perception would be the attribute, and then awareness. Is there any sphere or background or trait that might give someone an extra boost?
I think that if there's a particular thing, like if he was looking for mind magic, right?
Right.
Like then add his thing, but I don't know that there's like a general.
Or he could use, like, I can use my magic to increase my perception.
Like there's this one trait scan that I think Devin has,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and because it's not really defined, I could see you like scanning for magic.
Okay.
And
So
maybe
perception-
because it's part of your, your like technology base. Maybe it's part of your influence over your superphone, and getting it to detect essentially energies beyond the norm, whatever you want it to be.
What about science paraphysics? I don't really know what that entails.
That's a good question.
Paraphysics. Would that be supernatural physics?
That's what it sounds like to me.
Physics of
If you
ghost.
wanna do a perception paraphysics, and if Devin wants to do the other one, that's fine. You can double up and see what you find.
9 and an 8.
Okay. Devin, are you gonna scan for anything, or are you?
Yeah, what
Good
do you
with
want me to
that.
roll for that?
So it'd be perception. What do we say? Alertness or awareness?
Yeah.
Awareness. And then add your scan to it, which is 2.
Add my scan. All right, Stan. Hang on. Oh yeah. So, my highest rolls are a 10, 8, 8, 9, 5, 3, 2.
All right. So the two of you kind of like in your different ways reach out. There are definite traces of magic going on, but they're not so much. They're like small little bits, almost like if you were looking at it like a heat vision. There are just like little clusters of it spread throughout the crowd.
Okay.
There's definitely some on Tamara, and there is some on Taylor as well.
Interesting. Can you tap into his phone and see if you can listen to their conversation? I'm guessing it's in his pocket. You might be able to hear what they're talking about.
I'm just gonna walk over there
Okay,
Sure.
like walk up to them, or are you gonna walk over and like stand near them?
near them. They don't know us, so I'm just gonna stand. Like, are they near a bar or a table?
They're actually kind of standing off to the side, not at either.
Are they indoors or outdoors?
They're outdoors.
Is there like a like are they near like a railing, or are there standing two people in the middle of a room?
Yeah, so there's like a small railing, like when I say small, like short. It's not like person height. You could definitely lean on it. It's wrought iron and runs the length of this like small common area. Tables are kind of interspersed throughout, so you could either walk up to a table and like be nearby. You could go lean on the railing.
Yeah, I'll like pull out a cigar, and like have a drink and just lean on the railing, light the cigar, just look like I'm enjoying a cigar and a drink, which I will be
Sure.
doing, and then and just trying to kind of listen in and not be noticed while doing so.
Go ahead and do a appearance subterfuge for me.
Okay. Two twos, a 10, an 8, and a 6.
Okay. So you're kind of keeping an eye on them as they're talking, and you go up and you light the cigar and you're having your drink. And you do notice that Tamara like glances at you and kind of like has like a confused look on her face for a moment, but then she just goes back to talking with Taylor. Before we get into what they're talking about, what are the rest of you doing while this is going on?
Shield in my mind, I think. Let's see here, 1 dot in mind. Can do a mind shield, which hides their aura. So I think it kind of renders me looking like I'm mortal. I think.
Okay. Devin, what are you doing?
I think I'm just gonna keep a lookout for any kind of secondary operators here. And,
Okay.
shield my mind as well.
And Steven.
I will grab a beverage and find like an open bar height table somewhere and pull out my phone. And I'm still gonna see if I can tap into his phone.
Okay. So you're gonna do tech intelligence.
All right. Got a 9, a 3, and a 1.
Okay. That like force that was noticed earlier on his phone manages to keep you out of it for some reason.
Well, I'll see if I can. If nothing else, I'll see if I can at least nonchalantly snap a picture of the two of them having their conversation, so we have an image of her and him together.
Okay. So, Drake, as you're sitting there and you light your cigar and you're kind of hanging out, you're catching bits of their conversation. Some of it's a little hushed for you to hear, but it's a little heated, and so sometimes they raise their voices. And Taylor's just like, no, I don't think I should use this anymore. I don't want to sell it. I don't want to be involved with it. It's just a bit much to handle. You need to refine the formula before you put any more of this out. And she's like, I assure you, these issues have been taken care of. The new formula is much better than the previous one that we gave you. You don't need to worry about any more issues. It's already been tested, and most everyone here is already putting it on the streets. So you and your friends are going to be just fine.
Okay.
All right, what do y'all do? And Ryan, you let your dog in, so obviously your dog wants out already.
Right, I know. My wife's in the shower, and so she's like doesn't know where she wants to be.
All right, what are you doing?
Does it look like? Well, I'm gonna just continue to kind of just do what I'm doing. But if the conversation's dying down and they end up separating, I'm going to kind of watch where each of them goes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll probably follow one of them. I just don't know who.
So yeah, the conversation does end up dying down. He ends up giving her a envelope, and she gives him she reaches into an inside pocket on her jacket and pulls out what looks like a vacuum sealed package filled with pills. Like, it's pretty obvious, and hands it to him. The fact that it's vacuum sealed is a little weird, but other than that, and then she says, "Good day," and she turns around and heads off towards what looks like a small clubhouse nearby. And he looks around a little nervously, like he looks around a little nervously, and then starts like kind of wandering around the edge of the crowd toward the gate that leads out. And everyone else sees this separation, and Taylor is heading out.
The clubhouse is where she went, but is there a different building where he might go to relieve himself should he need to?
Not nearby, nothing that you saw, no.
So he would go to the clubhouse if that was the case.
Right.
Like if he had to pee, he would. That's where
Right.
he would.
All right. Well, then I won't do that.
I'll scan the crowd and see if there's any in the bar and see if there's any suspicious activity at the rest of the party, or if anyone has maybe caught their attention, or their attention has been caught by the pair having their conversation, or
So you look around and you notice that as he walked by, a few people kind of like glance at Taylor with this kind of like look, but otherwise there's no odd. Every so often you do actually catch glances at you, like, who is that? But nothing. No one's like freaking out or gonna do anything weird. It seems like they're all in their own conversations and doing their own thing. But the people who kind of do that like weird glare at Taylor obviously know him somehow or know of him. You get the feeling looking around, this crowd is definitely higher class than Taylor, and maybe it has to do with that or something.
okay, interesting. Well, I will set my polish off the last bit of my drink, throw a tip down for the bartender, and see if I can follow Taylor, but not draw suspicion. I don't know how good I'm going to be at that.
Let's do subterfuge and dexterity.
Stealth?
What's that?
What about stealth?
Absolutely. Do stealth and dexterity.
Okay. Alright. 9, 5, 3, and 2.
Okay. Do you have any advantages, backgrounds, or traits down there?
Backgrounds. Other than being a genius and a wonder, apparently. Not really, no.
Okay. So Taylor walks out from the gate area, then heads off. He actually doesn't head off towards the main gate. He kind of turns and heads towards the forest. You wait a moment and then follow after him. While that's happening, Drake, which direction did you go?
I'm actually going to shoot a text to everyone when I see them separate. It'll just basically say he's dealing some drugs. It seems like there was some concern with the formula previously. They just exchanged it. I think that we can kind of collapse around him and maybe scare him into I'll just say that. I think that we can get this kid. And then I'll head towards I'll not follow him, I'll more head towards the exit of the party.
Okay.
Is it
so
possible to
about
get a
the
sample?
Okay.
I'll text back. As long as I can get a sample of whatever it is he's selling, to run an analysis on whatever it is that they are putting on the streets.
Yeah. He has some in his pocket.
And that message hits before you leave the common area there, Steve. So if that changes anything that you want to do or whatever, and Devin, what are you doing?
Once I read the message, I'll kind of go make my way the same direction, but not obviously leaving with Draco.
Right. So the four of you kind of filter out. Steven is closest to Taylor. I actually have to roll dice. Hang on. So, you head out and you're being stealthy and everything. It seems like Taylor's very jittery. Like he's very worried about being there, and he like keeps looking over at the crowd as he's walking by. There's like that wrought iron fence is on the other side as well. There was like the gate, and then there's more of that fence, and then there's more fence that kind of closes off the far end of that area. And as he gets near the end of that first fence, he actually looks behind him and sees you. What do you want to like? How do you want to react to that, Steve?
I'll,
Fireball!
Explodes.
I'll say I'll actually talk to him and be like, "Hey man, I heard you could hook me up. Can you got a second?"
This one's definitely going to be subterfuge. And let's do manipulation.
Great. I'm so good at manipulation.
I could see charisma if your charisma is higher.
It's not.
Okay. I tried, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else that would really help me with that. So here goes nothing. And could I potentially use my mind magic to like
Oh, sure.
try and nudge him a little bit, be like, "Oh yeah, I'm cool.
Yeah, throw mind on top of that.
Awesome." That doubles my dice.
Nice.
Ooh. 2 10s, a 6, and a 4.
Okay. He looks over at the party and then looks back at you. He's like, "Yeah, let's go over here." And he kind of like nudges his head off in the direction that he was heading, kind of towards the forest. The forest isn't really that far away. The green essentially starts off to the right of where you're heading, and then there's just like a forest line not too far from there.
I'll follow him.
Okay. The rest of you kind of like come out as this interaction is happening, but Taylor turns away. He actually he waits for Steve to catch up with him, and then they turn and they start walking together towards the forest.
Is there still a fence that they have to cross to get to the forest, or can they just walk into the forest?
It looks like they can just walk into the forest. In fact, you can see little golf balls like at the edge of the forest, so it's probably left fenceless so that people can go and get their golf balls out of the edge of the forest when they hit them up there. But it does seem like it would be, like, knowing the way you drove in, it would be a trek to get up here from the forest to like sneak into the country club. So this area isn't walled off, but it is removed from easy access.
Right, okay.
And actually, since you're looking around, you do notice there are cameras too that are pointing off in this direction from the clubhouse. Everybody following?
If there's cameras, it may look a little shady if 4 of us are walking after, or 3 of us are walking after Taylor and whoever is Taylor's customer.
Could we scrub the data?
We need to go in there and just block the data or block the feed.
Yeah.
I don't have the means to do that.
I believe that's a Devin thing, but it could be wrong.
Well, you know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to use, as luck would have it, the security system is having some technological glitches and has been for the past couple days. So I'm going to try and yeah, basically press that luck. Or
Okay.
force that to be a truth.
Make it so.
Okay, I will roll maybe manipulation with guile and then my entropy. And like computer, would that work?
Sure.
Or
Is your computer or your technology higher?
computer.
Okay.
Okay, I got an 8, 2 7s, a 5, and 3 6s.
Okay. Yeah, you connect. Rather than like connecting through a network, you essentially create a connection and go in through their into the I can't think of what it's called. The recording box essentially is connected to a network, and so you like force a connection with that network, go into it, and what do you want to do to it?
I just want to take down a couple random cameras that are just kind of actually in higher higher priority places, right? Like the cameras of the party and the have some alarms go off in one of the locker rooms, like make it seem like they're having like really random funkiness, have the cameras kind of pan off so it's not like directly, this area isn't directly being kind of the focal point, but the cameras aren't looking at the right direction. It's maybe you could see these two people, maybe you can see us, but you only catch glimpses, so we aren't in constant surveillance. And then also
Right.
trying to draw attention to a more important area so that any guards might be more driven towards there.
Sure. That's what happens.
Nice. Then I'll follow.
Everybody. Okay, so everyone follows after. So yeah, you hit the forest, like the tree line of the forest, and you notice like kind of the way he's going is a little more mushed down. Like there's a potentially fairly regular traffic through this area, and he heads off into the woods, about 30 feet, and he looks back to make sure that like he can't see the clubhouse or anything, and then he looks down like at his hoodie, and then he reaches in and he pulls out a Tylenol bottle. He's like, how many are you looking for? I only have so much.
Well, I mean, I've never had this stuff before,
No.
so
Yeah, I just start with one.
yeah, just one or two is probably good to start, and if we need to, we can always come back and get
Right,
more, right?
that'll be two.
Okay,
200.
okay. Do you take payment types? Do you take
Kidding.
like Venmo? Is Venmo cool?
How about iTunes cards? I got some of those in my back pocket.
Are you,
Do you take
Okay,
Starbucks
are
or
you
gift
available?
cards? Right.
I don't know. Do we usually carry cash?
That's up to you.
I'll pull out my wallet and I'll be like, look, you know what? Cash is probably better.
It's like some white college kid trying to make his first drug deal here.
Right?
Um,
I'm just some dumb kid who doesn't really know any better, right?
What are how many dots do you have in resources? It'll be down under backgrounds.
2.
Yeah, you easily have $200 in cash.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
weren't really sure because you don't really use cash that often, but you were like, oh, okay, yeah, I've got like 240.
He just hands him a lot of money and be like, take what you need and give me the rest back.
Yeah, I got some emergency cash in there. I'll pull out a couple hundreds and I'll pass them over.
Okay. When he does when you do that, he kind of looks at them to make sure they're real, and then he puts them in his pocket. He opens the Tylenol bottle and shakes out a pill. It's actually kind of like, it looks like a gel cap, but it's like oddly shaped. You're not really sure how it got its shape, because it's kind of star shaped or spiky ball shaped or something. It's actually kind of hard to look at. It's a little weird. And he like puts it in, like he reaches out to drop it in your hand. It's red, like super red.
Will it do anything if I touch it? Like, should I put it in a baggie? And
Oh no, I mean, they can pop, so you might want to just don't sit on it. Otherwise, you just wasted $200.
Okay. Cool. I guess I'll take it. I'll sort of gently like put it in my pocket.
Yeah, good luck
I'll
with
be
that.
careful. I'll be careful with
fun.
that. How do I get in touch with you if I need more?
You don't.
No?
And he kind of laughs and he like walks off or begins to walk off into the forest.
Rich kids. Easy
Alright.
$200.
I'll be like, thanks. Then I'll sort of turn around and head back the other direction.
About this time, the rest of them are getting to the forest line. So if you want to, like, you'll see them. They're pretty obvious, unless you guys are like, we'll just wait for him to come back out. Okay.
I'm gonna.
Go for it.
Does he notice us as he's walking away?
No, he was pretty. So I will say, Steven, his demeanor changes after he gets away from the others. He's definitely much more in his element. He was very much more in control of the conversation as opposed to his kind of like skittishness around the others. And then he just turns and like walks confidently off into the forest. So he wasn't even really looking to see if anyone else was following. And the three of you get there essentially as they are finishing up, and he walks off.
I want to scare this kid shitless.
Hey, let's bust
I want to break his kneecap and tell him. I'm just trying to find the angle. Did Tamara send me to kind of scare some shit in, or is this Jaina, or what's the deal here? That's
right.
That's my.
Are you asking everyone else?
I'll let him go.
What's everyone else think?
Yeah, I'll come back to the group and be like, so you wanted a sample, right?
Yes.
I'll like gently pull this weird looking funky gel cap out and be like, so there's your sample.
Yeah, see if you can sense some magic on that thing.
Let's see here.
When you look at it, it's like a red. It's like a red that shouldn't exist. Like looking at it, you're just like your eyes kind of tweak a little because it's just such a weird color and shade of red that this had to have been created by magic or some supernatural means. This doesn't, nothing natural could create this.
So it has no FDA coding or...
Correct. Or it does. And and you've learned something new about the government.
Well, I mean, the pills are usually marked with some kind of codes
right.
To help with identification for poison control or, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Can I tell what it does? No, it's inert, so it doesn't match with life. That'd be a matter thing.
And actually, since you were standing there when you saw them exchange the pills, Drake, you realize that this is not the same pills that Tamara just gave him. Those were like a strange blue-green color.
Okay, so he has two kind of magical pills.
And you remember that they were talking about the new formula and that the...
Okay, I'll mention, this might be the old formula because it's definitely not what he was given tonight. Or maybe it's unrelated. Maybe he wants to try the new stuff out, but
Is there a way that our magic phones, I mean, that's hypertech, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is there a way that I can modify the hypertech using primal utility to get an analysis of this pill?
Oh, I like it. Sure, try it.
Okay, so would that be just intelligence?
I feel like intelligence, tech, and then if you have a sphere, primal utility,
I do have primal utility.
I would do those.
So, tech, primal utility, intelligence. All right.
what about life too? Because this is clearly like for consumption by people.
It'd be matter, I think, because it has to be alive. It has to be living to be life, I think.
That makes sense. Yeah, if you want to do matter on top of primal utility, if you have it.
All right. No whammies. Oh no, that's a whammy. One botch, a 9, a 6, and a 9, and then the rest are below 6.
What are you trying
Two
to scan
nines
it
and a
for?
6. I'm trying to like do an analysis on it. Like, what is this?
Okay. So your phone kind of freaks out. It's like a little. What you're trying to do essentially it's not built to do, and like you're altering some of the magical coding that goes into it, and it does get a scan on it, but you're not really sure it's reliable. It's definitely some kind of magically created drug.
What do you do this to a better lab? Field test isn't yielding any information.
Yeah. Yeah, like it doesn't even give you like a hint of what it does.
Yeah, we need a lab.
Okay. So
But-
what's the plan here? Agents?
Is this what he's selling? Is this the
Not
product?
what he was given.
It's what he sold me.
Well, if there's a different product, we should get a hold of that as well.
I also just like we still don't
And
know
well,
how he's involved.
he took it out of a little Tylenol bottle. So whatever was in his Tylenol bottle is what he sold me. Is that what you guys ended up seeing?
As a vacuum sealed pill bottle.
I wonder if this is the old stuff then.
It might be, or I mean,
Take it and see what happens.
I would advise against that.
No, I like it.
I mean, he was friendly. I mean, what could go wrong?
A number
Right.
of things. Cardiac arrest. You could have an aneurysm. Your liver
Magically
could fail.
vaporized.
Yeah, like just even on just the basic biological level, it could do permanent damage.
yeah, it could be a really fun time.
That may be, but the abuse of drugs really is frowned upon for very good reason.
Okay. I am much less concerned about this drug situation than I am about the attack, which we still know nothing about, and this fact, like, this dude is like at the intersection of some things, which is interesting to me, but like the drug dealing, we don't know what that leads to or what that has led to, but we do know that like he is at least tangentially involved with some shady shit with this girl.
I see where you're going.
Well,
Go to the
our
original plan and bust up in there.
our phones. Do our phones by chance have any thermal imaging? We might be able to still follow where he went through the woods.
Oh, I can do that with just my eyeballs. So,
Your eyeballs
Really?
have implants for thermal imaging.
yep. 'Cause
Nice.
I have Forces 1, which allows me to change my vision. So,
Sweet.
I guess I'll look around the area and see.
Yeah, I mean, knowing which direction he went to begin with helps, and so you go that direction, and there's definitely some like cooling footsteps that head off that direction.
Okay.
The forces lets us do that.
Yeah, forces 1 lets you
You
use
got force
forces,
2.
sense energies.
Nice. Okay, all right. So we turn on the thermal eyeballs. Yeah, let's see if we can kind of follow where he went. Now that he's a little farther away, it should hopefully be safer to follow without being super stealthy.
I don't want to be stealthy at all.
Just go tackle this bitch and then start reading his surface thoughts as we interrogate him.
Okay.
All right,
So you
let's
want to
track.
catch up to him and catch up to him and capture him?
Yeah, I'm gonna catch up on him.
Sure.
I'm gonna say freeze, and I'm gonna pretend like this was a sting operation.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
I'll
Alright, so
draw.
you-
I'll draw the gun. Like when he's, like I'll run after him.
Yeah.
And
Shoot him in the
as soon as he
legs.
turns, I'll pull out my gun and blow his brains out. No.
Stop! Bang! 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 You're all shoot.
Shoot him in the back. You know,
Right.
do.
Times.
No.
No.
Okay, so you run and catch up with him. Because he was just kind of strolling. You easily do so, and you have your gun out. And you shout, "Freeze!"
Yeah. I'll say.
Freeze, motherfucker!
Drop to the ground now. I'll scream at him.
So is everyone following Drake?
Yeah, I got
Sure.
my gun out too.
Okay. So
Don't
everyone
run.
takes off to the
Don't
forest
run.
following Drake. You catch up with Taylor, shout at him. He turns around and like he's just startled as fuck. Like
Yeah,
why
dude.
someone followed him. He like his eyes are huge and everything. And like he just looks around for a moment and then he begins like reaching into his pocket and pulls out the Tylenol bottle and is like unscrewing it.
Oh yeah, shoot him.
I'm gonna use my my like entropy magic to make it so that he cannot, this child lock on this bottle like cannot get it off. No matter what he's like what the
Well,
fuck?
he's an adult, so I would give you advantage if this was 5th edition.
Right,
'Cause
right.
He's just like, I don't know how to open this.
He gets an automatic success, right?
right.
Already.
Go ahead and roll it.
Oh jeez.
What do you want it to be?
So do
And you can spend a
entropy-
willpower to get
Yeah, I'll spend a willpower just to make it a success.
to
right?
get,
automatic,
well, you get
okay.
it gives you an automatic success for each willpower you spend.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot about willpower. That's right.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did too.
That's right.
That is a good question. I don't know what. Let's go
Could
with
I do-
manipulation.
Could I do? Okay, I'll do manipulation.
So entropy and manipulation.
Entropy and manipulation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That is. Okay. I got, with the one success
Yeah.
guaranteed, I got another 10. Oh, 2 more successes because it's a 10.
Okay. So he's standing there and he's trying to get it open. He's like, "Fucking child, block it," and just throws the bottle off into the forest and then turns around and runs.
Oh
And,
no,
like-
you're not.
He
Hadouken!
kind of like turns and runs and like tries to go behind a tree. What are you all doing?
I'm gonna use my entropy to have him trip over something as well.
Let's get so since you did that, let's
Oh,
give
yeah, I guess
the 3 of you do something else, and then on your turn, if there's still movement, that's what you'll do. So Devin, what are you doing?
I'm gonna chase this guy down. Tackle
Okay,
him.
so you run after him. Steve, what are you doing?
Can I? So we're in the woods. I'm guessing there's plants and stuff all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I see if I can have a? Could I have a plant like wrap around his ankle or something?
So I could see that being either life or matter or maybe primal utility. Do you have any of those?
I have primal utility.
Go ahead and do that one with manipulation.
Okay. I have 1 10 and a 1, but then I have an 8 and a 2.
Okay. Yeah, some like creepers, like the like not vines, but essentially like the creeper plants that kind of just grow out, and it doesn't wrap around him so much as hinders his movement, and he kind of like trips, and he doesn't fall over, but it slows him down enough that Devin just like tackles him to the ground. So the combination of you two just like smooshes him. And Devin, as you got closer, you definitely felt some magic forming in what he was doing, but you interrupt it as he like collides with the solid surface of the ground. Dr. Barros, what are you doing?
Well, I was thinking about giving him a Charlie horse, but I don't think I can do that at life 3.
Give him a
You can just, I mean, he's on the ground. You can just kick him in the back of the leg.
Right? That
No,
would
no,
be a
no.
Charlie horse.
You might be able to do it at 3. I mean,
No, I think 3 is heal. I can turn a snail into a turnip. I can heal, but it's level 4 where you can do damage, I think. I don't want to physically harm him.
It's not damage. It just hurts.
I swore an oath.
so kick him with your stilettos in his
No,
thigh. That'll
to
give him
do
a Charlie
no
horse.
harm. Charlie horse isn't going to harm him.
Well,
Just
You kick
slow him
somebody,
down.
they'll get a Charlie horse.
No, that's doing harm. But I will remind him that it's in his best interest to stay down. You stay down and cooperate. Stop struggling.
So the 4 of you have essentially surrounded him and have him grappled on the ground. What do you want to do with him?
Murder. No. I want to use intimidate the shit out of him, and say we know about what we know. Tamara gave you a package. You need to give us that immediately, and we need to know all of your involvement with Kristen. Now.
Go ahead and roll your intimidation, either charisma or manipulation.
Okay.
I feel like it's more charisma, but if your manipulation's higher, go ahead and roll that.
I feel like with multiple guns pointed at him,
Right.
that would help.
69575. So 2
Nice.
6s or 1 6, 2 7 and 2 9s.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, over the course of the next few minutes, you manage to wring out of him. First, he's just like, yeah, take the pills. Just take them. He's like, let me go. And then you're like forcing the Kristen issue. He reveals that he had taken some of the other batch that Tamara was selling, and the effect had kind of gone awry. He doesn't remember exactly what happened. He remembers attacking Kristen, but then when Jaina like kicked him, it like knocked him out of like this weird feral haze that he was in, and so he ran off, and he felt like he was really like disembodied. Like it was really strange, like he wasn't himself. And so he ran off through the forest, and when he came to, he just kind of hid for a while, and then he stopped by their house to check on them, but they weren't there. And he didn't want to like call her or anything, but then like a couple days later he ended up calling to see if she was all right, and she didn't answer. But he just wanted to make sure she was okay.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say, great. This is gonna be something that the local precinct's gonna love to hear, and just pull.
Oh man, come on! Look, I'll just give you the rest, and you can sell them, and just let us.
I have.
Well, yeah, just go sell them and just leave me alone. I don't need to go to jail. I won't survive in jail. My
killed a
sweet
man.
white ass.
You killed a man.
What?
And you attacked Kristen.
No, that wasn't real.
Okay, well, tell the dead person that.
No,
one you ate.
no, oh no way, man! That's not no. And he's just like kind of in complete denial. And since we are nearing our time anyway, we're not going to delve into the other aspects of this module, which it's really interesting because it does have like a lot of different directions you can go in depending on what you want to focus on. So you guys focused on Kristen's attacker, which ended up being Taylor. You get the feeling that this magical drug had something to do with his alteration. And talking with him more, you find out that like he feels like taking it kind of awoke something in him, and like he's been able to like do things that aren't normal. Devin, you definitely got the feeling he was trying to work magic as he ran away from you, probably to try and disappear or something. So this drug that's out there is granting mortals the ability to do crazy things. Obviously, it isn't perfected because it turned, like, it shape-shifted Taylor into some kind of like bear creature when he lost control of his emotions. So essentially, if you were playing a campaign or you wanted to continue like a second arc in this module, you would look into the creation of the drugs and who's involved with all of that. So it's kind of a fun module in the way that you can go in different directions depending on what you want to focus on. You all head back to the word left my mind. Construct. You head back to the construct. You take Tyler. Do you take Tyler to the construct, or you take him to jail?
I think he's more useful at the construct, honestly.
Yeah.
He's been able to tap into some kind of magic. He may have some level of enlightenment at this stage, whether or not he
Drug-induced
had it naturally. Whether or not he had it naturally, like he has it now, and we're studying.
That's right. Put him in the cage.
Yeah, he thinks he's going to jail until he gets there, and then he's going to be tested.
Right.
And
I assure you, this will not hurt at all.
Snap. You may
Just
feel
gonna need
some
about 15
slight
quarts
pressure.
of blood.
All right.
And your kidney.
Well, you found Kristen's attacker. You've probably prevented any future issues for her. The question of the drug is still out there in the universe, so answering that would be a future thing. But you feel like you have definitely actually answered the questions that you were sent out to find. It wasn't just a bear. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode of We Get to Play Mage the Ascension. Thanks to Onyx Path for publishing the M20 version of Mage the Ascension, and for Travis Lake for writing this adventure. It's called Welcome to the Rock. You can head over and pick up the Mage the Ascension Jumpstart, and it is included with it, as well as the pre-gens that they played today. So thanks for playing. We will see you in 2 weeks when we're going to play some Monster of the Week, I believe.
Yeah!
Should be a ton of fun. So we will see you then. Bye, everybody.